places within the hierarchy. Kira remained the healer's daughter, useful when someone was wounded, needed when herbs had to be gathered, invisible at every other time. Stand tall, Elena whispered as they walked toward the gathering. When your mate sees you, none of the things this pack values will matter. The bond does not judge beauty, rank, or strength. It recognizes the soul. Kira wanted those words to be true. She wore the finest dress she owned, a simple cream-colored gown that looked modest beside the jeweled dresses of Alpha daughters. She had braided small wildflowers through her dark hair. Beneath her skin, her wolf trembled with bright certainty. Tonight, we find him. The clearing was crowded when Kira and Elena arrived. 3 visiting packs had come to renew seasonal alliances with Silverpaw. Bonfires burned against the cold. Warriors laughed near the roasting fires. Young wolves traded stories, and high-ranking families gathered beneath decorated shelters. The combined scent of so many wolves made the air feel alive. Dominance pressed from the older males, excitement rolled from the unmated females, and pack bonds overlapped in a low current Kira could sense beneath every conversation. Elena greeted several healers they knew, but Kira could barely return their smiles. The pull inside her chest had become almost painful. Her wolf turned restlessly toward the Iron Ridge delegation, before Kira consciously knew why. Then the crowd shifted. Kira barely noticed anything else. She saw him. He stood among the Iron Ridge delegation, tall and broad-shouldered, commanding attention even while completely still. Dark hair framed a strong face. Firelight caught in his eyes and turned them amber. His posture carried the effortless authority of alpha blood. Then he turned toward the crowd. Their gazes met. The mate bond struck with enough force to steal Kira's breath. A golden thread seemed to snap into place between them, pulling tight from her chest to his. Recognition, hunger, certainty, and belonging rushed through her all at once. Warmth burst beneath her ribs and spread through her body. Her wolf threw back her head inside Kira's mind and howled. Mate? Ours. At last. For one flawless heartbeat, Kira felt complete. Then the male's expression changed. She saw recognition flash across his face. He felt the bond. There was no doubt. But the shock in his eyes quickly hardened into something else. His gaze moved over her plain face, her inexpensive dress, and her slight frame. His jaw tightened. Whatever warmth the bond had awakened in him vanished. He looked away. No, Kira breathed. Elena's hand closed around her arm. Give him a moment, her mother whispered urgently. The bond can overwhelm a male at first. He may only need time. But Kira was already moving. The bond pulled her forward before fear could stop her. She crossed the clearing with her pulse pounding and her wolf whining in confusion. Every step toward him made the thread between them feel stronger. He was speaking with Alpha Thorn. Thorn led Silverpaw with cold efficiency. His gray eyes had never rested on Kira with anything warmer than impatience. When she approached, both males turned toward her. Again, recognition crossed her mate's face. Again, disappointment followed. Excuse me, Kira said. Her voice almost failed, but she forced the words out. I need to speak with you, please. Up close, he seemed even more powerful. He stood at least 6'3", built like a warrior, with dominance pressing from him so naturally that weaker wolves would lower their heads without thinking. Everything about him spoke of status, authority, and a future far above hers. I am in the middle of a conversation, he replied. His voice was not openly cruel. It was worse. He sounded indifferent, as though a stranger had interrupted him, rather than the female fate had chosen for him. I understand, but... Kira swallowed. Alpha Thorn was watching them with open interest. Could we speak privately? Only for a moment. Something moved behind the male's amber eyes. Guilt, perhaps, or shame. It disappeared before Kira could be certain. He glanced at Thorn. The Alpha's mouth curved with amusement. The healer's daughter, Thorn said. How unexpected. The moon goddess truly does work in mysterious ways. The words sounded polite, but the mockery beneath them cut deeply. Heat climbed Kira's cheeks. She kept her eyes on her mate, silently pleading with him to acknowledge what had happened. One word from him could have stopped Thorn's humiliation. He remained silent. "Please," Kira whispered. 5 minutes. That is all I am asking." He stared at her for several terrible seconds. Then he released a sharp breath and nodded toward the trees. 5 minutes. They left the clearing without speaking. The voices, music, and crackle of fire slowly faded behind them, until only dark trunks, winter air, and distant moonlight surrounded them. Kira trembled. Part of it was the cold. Most of it was the bond. It screamed at her to close the distance, touch him, and complete what destiny had begun. "What is your name?" she asked softly. "Damien." He did not ask for hers. Damien Blackwood, second son of the Iron Ridge Alpha. Not the heir, but still far beyond Kira's place in the world. He was expected to hold power. She was expected to prepare herbs and remain unnoticed. "I'm Kira," she said. "Kira Ashford." She wrapped her arms around herself, trying to stop the shaking. "You feel it too, don't you?" Damien said nothing. "The bond," Kira continued. "You know I am your mate." His silence confirmed everything. "Then why?" Her voice cracked. "Why did you look at me as though I had disappointed you?" "Because you did." He delivered the answer without anger or hesitation. It was a simple judgment, spoken as calmly as a fact about the weather. Something inside Kira fractured. "Do not look at me like that," Damien said, impatience entering his tone. "I am being honest. That is more courtesy than many males would offer. The moon goddess made a mistake. It is rare, but it happens." Kira stared at him. "I am expected to become Iron Ridge's beta when my brother takes his place as alpha," Damien continued. "I need a mate who can stand beside me, someone who commands respect, someone who strengthens my position." He gestured toward her, leaving the rest unspoken. "You cannot be that." "You don't know me," Kira managed. Her lips had gone numb. "You don't know what I can." "I know enough." He cut her off with absolute finality. "You are the daughter of a healer from a mid-ranking pack. You have no title, no political influence, no exceptional strength, beauty, or skill that would raise my standing. Mates are supposed to make each other stronger." His amber eyes held hers without warmth. "You would make me weaker." Each word struck harder than the one before. Kira's wolf cried out inside her, wounded by the male she had recognized as hers. The bond strained between them, pulling as if it could force Damien to accept what fate had created. "You cannot simply ignore it," Kira whispered. "The bond will hurt you too." "I can endure it." The certainty in his voice told her this was not a decision made in panic. He had already measured the pain of resisting the bond against the cost of accepting her. He had decided she was not worth that cost. "I have heard what happens," Damien said. "It will be unpleasant, but I am strong enough. Eventually, the bond will weaken. We will move on." "Move on?" A broken laugh escaped Kira. "You speak as if this is a passing inconvenience. You are my mate." "The only one I will ever have. The moon goddess chose you for me." Then she chose wrongly. Those amber eyes, the ones Kira's soul had somehow longed for before she knew they existed, had become completely cold. "I am sorry, Kira. I cannot accept this bond. I will not." Anger finally burned through her shock. "So you will pretend we never met? Choose a more suitable she-wolf and force yourself to build a life with her?" "Yes." The answer came instantly. "That is exactly what I will do. I suggest you do the same. Find a male in your own pack, build a home, have pups, live your life and forget me. Forget you." Kira's voice rose. "You are my mate. You cannot decide this alone. You have no right." "I have every right." Power entered Damien's tone, the command of a male accustomed to obedience. I outrank you, Kira. In our world, that matters. I am giving you the cleanest rejection possible. I am explaining my reasons so you understand it is not personal. Another male might simply disappear and leave you wondering. I am offering clarity. Clarity? The word broke into a sob. Kira hated herself for begging, but the bond felt like acid moving through her blood. Please, Damien. Do not do this. Give me one chance. Learn who I am. I may not be what you imagined, but I am loyal. I am intelligent. I can learn whatever is required. No. One word. A door closing forever. Damien stepped away from her. The distance sent sharp pain through Kira's chest. The bond stretched, protested, and tore at her wolf. My pack leaves at dawn, he said. His voice softened into the terrible gentleness of someone delivering a final blow. Do not approach me again. If you tell anyone about the bond, I will deny it. You have no proof, and no one will take your word over mine. He paused. It is better for both of us if we behave as though this never happened. Better for you, Kira whispered. Yes. He did not show shame. Better for me. I will not apologize for choosing my future over a mistake of fate. You should not want a male who does not want you. You deserve more than that. The hypocrisy might have been laughable if it had not hurt so badly. Damien turned away. After several steps, he stopped and looked back once. Moonlight sharpened the angles of his beautiful face and left his eyes in shadow. For whatever it is worth, he said quietly, I hope you find happiness. Truly, just not with me. Then he walked back toward the gathering, toward his family, his ambition, and the life he had chosen without her. Kira remained among the trees. For several moments, she could not move. Music and laughter continued in the clearing beyond the trunks, cruelly ordinary, while the most important thing in her life ended without anyone stopping to notice. The bond writhed inside her, demanding that she follow Damien, touch him, plead again, or force him to acknowledge what fate had created. Kira held herself tightly, as though her arms could keep her ribs closed, around a heart that no longer knew how to beat without pain. Her wolf scratched at the inside of her mind, confused by the distance and terrified by the rejection. Go after him. He is ours. Do not let him leave. But Damien had made his choice with clear eyes. If Kira followed, he would only reject her again, perhaps in front of the entire gathering. She lowered her head and listened to his footsteps disappear. Kira was the one who would have to survive what he had done. Chapter 2. When Hope Dies in the Snow. Kira never returned to the Frost Moon gathering. She could not step back into that glowing clearing and endure the curious eyes, the quiet gossip, or the sight of Damien laughing with his pack as if he had not just shattered her with a few measured sentences. So she ran. Her wolf surged beneath her skin, desperate to escape, and Kira did not resist. She pulled off her dress with hands made clumsy by shock. Then she surrendered to the shift. Bones snapped and reformed. Brown fur swept across her skin. A moment later, she stood on 4 paws, smaller than most wolves, and far less impressive, but faster than anyone in Silverpaw ever bothered to notice. She tore through the forest. Frozen ground flashed beneath her paws. White breath streamed from her muzzle. With every stride, the bond dragged at her from behind. Wrong way. Go back. Mate. Kira ignored it. She ran harder, trying to leave the pain somewhere among the dark trees. It followed her home. By the time she reached the small cabin she shared with Elena on the eastern edge of the territory, sobs were tearing through her entire body. Kira shifted back, staggered through the door, and collapsed on the floor. Elena found her an hour later, naked beneath the fading firelight, curled into herself and still crying. Oh, little one. Elena's voice broke. My baby. Kira could not explain. The rejected bond had become a living wound beneath her ribs. Every heartbeat drove the same words through her. Rejected. Unwanted. Not enough. Never enough. Elena wrapped a blanket around Kira's trembling body and gathered her into her arms. She held her the way she had when Kira was a child and the other pups had mocked her. She rocked slowly, humming an old lullaby, and asked no questions. She did not need to. A mother understood some wounds before they were named. "He rejected me," Kira finally whispered against Elena's shoulder. Her voice sounded torn. "My mate looked at me and decided I was not good enough." Elena held her tighter. "Tell me who he is." "No." Kira pulled away and wiped at tears that would not stop. "He said he would deny it if I told anyone. He is right. No one would believe me instead of him." Her breath hitched. "He is perfect, Mama. Strong, handsome, powerful, and I am only—" The words failed. "I am only me." "You are my daughter," Elena said fiercely. She caught Kira's face between both hands. "You are intelligent. You are compassionate. You are—" "Plain," Kira interrupted. Her voice had gone empty, weak, forgettable. He did not use every one of those words, but that was what he meant. He said I would weaken him. He said the moon goddess made a mistake. Elena's face drained of color before fury rushed into it. "The moon goddess does not make mistakes." "Then why did she bind me to someone who despises the thought of me?" Kira cried. "Why did she let me feel complete for one moment and then take it away?" Her voice collapsed into another sob. Elena had no answer. They remained beside the fire until the last embers dimmed, and the cabin grew so cold their breath appeared in the air. At last, Elena helped Kira into bed, covered her like a child, and smoothed the tangled hair away from her face. "It will become easier," Elena murmured, though uncertainty lived in her eyes. "Time can heal even this, I promise." Kira had heard too many stories to believe her. Rejected wolves sometimes spent years feeling the bond die inside them. Some lost their minds. Some stopped eating until their bodies failed. Others simply surrendered, their wolves fading first and their human halves following. Kira closed her eyes and begged sleep to come. It did not. The next 3 days became a private kind of hell. At dawn, Kira heard the distant movement of the visiting packs preparing to leave. Wagons creaked. Wolves called to one another. Hooves and footsteps crossed the frozen roads. Somewhere among those sounds, Damien was departing Silverpaw exactly as he had promised. The bond followed him. Kira felt the distance stretch mile by mile, not as relief but as a slow tearing. Each increase in space made her wolf panic, while the human part of her begged for him to go far enough that she might finally breathe. Kira remained inside the cabin and allowed Elena to tell anyone who asked that she was ill. It was not truly a lie. A fever burned through her. Her hands shook. Her body reacted to the rejection as though something poisonous had entered her blood. Breathing hurt. Every heartbeat scraped against the wound beneath her ribs. Worst of all, Damien had not vanished. The bond remained. It stretched across the miles like a contaminated thread. Kira could sense flashes of him, anger, guilt, and a hard determination to put her behind him. Whenever exhaustion dragged her into sleep, she dreamed of amber eyes turning cold. She woke gasping, crying, and hoping with humiliating desperation that none of it had been real. Elena tried every remedy she knew. She brewed bitter teas from roots and bark. She spread warm poultices over Kira's chest, though there was no physical injury to treat. She mixed sleeping draughts that only deepened the nightmares. Between treatments, Elena sat beside the bed and spoke about ordinary things, the herbs that needed gathering, a pup recovering from fever, the first snow collecting on the roof. She seemed to understand that Kira could not survive if every word in the cabin belonged to Damien. Kira rarely answered, but her mother continued, building a thin bridge back toward the world one quiet sentence at a time. Nothing touched the pain itself. Still, Elena refused to let pain become the only presence in the room. "You need food," Elena pleaded on the 3rd day. She placed a bowl of stew beside the bed. "You have taken nothing except water." "I can't." The smell turned Kira's stomach. "Mama, please, leave me alone." Elena's expression folded with hurt, but she did not argue. She sat on the edge of the bed, took Kira's hand, and held it while her daughter stared at the ceiling. After a long silence, Elena spoke. "There is something I should have told you years ago." Kira turned her head slightly. Curiosity felt distant, as though it belonged to someone else. "Your father was my true mate," Elena said. "And he rejected me too." Kira pushed herself onto her elbows. "What?" A sad, uneven smile touched Elena's mouth. "I was 17. He was the Alpha's son, destined to lead. He was handsome, powerful, and everything I believed I wanted. When the bond formed, I thought the moon goddess had blessed me beyond reason." Her eyes drifted toward an old memory. "Then he saw me, a healer's apprentice without beauty or rank. He made the same decision Damien made. I was not suitable. I would damage his future." "Mama," Kira whispered, "you never told me." "I was ashamed, though I should not have been. I also did not want you to fear the day you met your mate. I thought keeping my pain from you would protect your hope." Elena gave a bitter laugh. "I failed at that rather badly." "What happened to him?" Kira asked. "And what happened to you?" "He selected a mate from a neighboring pack. She was beautiful, influential, and born into rank. They had 3 strong sons. He became Alpha, exactly as he intended." Elena's tone remained calm, but old grief moved beneath it. "The bond weakened slowly. It took close to 2 years before I stopped sensing him. The pain never vanished all at once. It simply became something I could carry. And you?" "I met your stepfather. There was no fated bond between us, but what we built was real. Then we had you." Elena's face softened. "You gave meaning back to my life when I believed I had lost it forever. Every moment of suffering was worth the chance to become your mother." The story should have comforted Kira. Elena had survived. She had found love after rejection, and created a life beyond the bond. Kira could think of only one thing. 2 years. 2 years before the agony became bearable. 2 years of feeling Damien live comfortably without her, while his indifference cut through her each day. "I don't know whether I can be that strong," Kira whispered. "You can." Elena's answer was immediate. "You are my daughter. There is more strength in you than you understand." Kira no longer knew whether strength was enough. On the 4th morning, Alpha Thorn sent for her. A young male knocked on the cabin door shortly after dawn. His face was carefully blank. "Alpha Thorn requires Kira Ashford in his den. Immediately." Fear dropped through Kira's stomach. Elena went pale. "She is still." "Immediately," the messenger repeated. "Those are the Alpha's orders. No wolf in Silver Paw could refuse a direct command." Kira forced herself out of bed. She put on a plain tunic and leggings, then followed the messenger through the waking settlement. Wolves watched her pass. Some appeared curious. Others looked almost pitying. Everyone knew a private summons from Thorn rarely ended well. The Alpha's den stood near the center of the territory, a large dark wood cabin filled with trophies from hunts and battles. Thorn waited behind a heavy desk, his gray eyes measuring Kira as she entered. "Leave," he told the messenger. The young male bowed and withdrew. The door closed with a hard click. Kira stood before Thorn with her head lowered out of instinct. Every part of her wanted to flee. "You have been hiding," Thorn said conversationally. "That is unlike you. You are usually dependable, always ready to clean wounds, prepare medicine, and serve the pack. Yet for several days you have been unavailable. I apologize, Alpha. I was sick. You were rejected." Thorn spoke as casually as if discussing the weather. "Your mate rejected you during the gathering." The blood left Kira's face. "I don't know what. Do not insult me." Thorn's voice struck the room like a whip. "I saw the way you looked at the Iron Ridge Alpha's second son. I watched the bond form. Then I watched him walk away as if you were worthless." Shame burned through Kira. She had believed no one noticed, but Thorn noticed anything that could threaten his authority or benefit his alliances. That must have been humiliating, he continued, almost gently, for your mate to study you in front of everyone and decide you were not worth accepting. Tell me, Kira, what did that feel like? The question was meant to injure her. It did. Kira drove her nails into her palms while her wolf growled beneath her skin. With respect, Alpha, why did you call me here? Because your private tragedy has become my political problem. Thorn leaned back and joined his fingers before him. Iron Ridge is a valuable ally. It controls strategic territory, commands a strong military force, and offers excellent trade. I have spent years building a closer relationship with Alpha Blackwood. Now his son has rejected a female from my pack. That was his decision. Everything involving a member of Silver Paw is my concern. Thorn slammed his fist onto the desk. Kira flinched. Do you imagine Alpha Blackwood wants his son's rejection discussed throughout the region? Do you think he welcomes questions about Damien's judgment? He does not. Therefore, this matter will remain silent. Cold understanding settled over Kira. You want me to deny the bond. I want you to erase it. Thorn's gaze hardened. You did not meet your mate. No bond formed. You suffered an ordinary illness and remained inside your home. That is the only account you will ever give. Do you understand? And if I refuse? His smile carried no warmth. Then I will exile you for spreading malicious accusations against the son of an allied Alpha. I will say you invented a bond in an attempt to trap a higher-ranking male and disturbed pack unity when he refused you. He allowed the threat to settle. Your mother may remain here, of course. You will be declared rogue. No pack, no protection, no territory. Thorn's gray eyes sharpened. How many nights do you think you would survive alone in winter? This was not an empty threat. It was a promise. Another piece of Kira broke. Some final, foolish part of her had hoped her Alpha might care that one of his wolves had been wounded by an allied family. Instead, she was disposable. I understand, Alpha, she said. The words tasted like ash. Good. Thorn smiled. I am pleased we understand each other. You may go. Kira turned toward the door, moving on numb legs. One more thing. She stopped. I suggest you recover quickly, Thorn said. This pack needs its healer's daughter functioning. Your emotions belong to you. Do not allow them to interfere with your duties again. Kira could not trust her voice. She bowed and escaped the den. Snow began falling that afternoon. Kira wandered through it without purpose. Her thin jacket did little against the bitter air, but the cold outside seemed small beside the ice spreading through her chest. Forget it, Thorn had commanded. As though a mate bond could be dismissed by order. As though Damien could be removed from her blood through obedience. As though anything remained for her to lose. Without deciding to go there, Kira reached the northern border. It was the same place from which she had first sensed her mate drawing near. The bond had become quieter with distance and rejection, yet it still pulsed beneath her skin. Somewhere beyond the mountains was the other half of her soul, the half that did not want her. I can't do this, Kira whispered to the falling snow. Mama, I'm sorry, I can't. 2 years of pain. 2 years of sensing Damien live, laugh, and prosper without her. 2 years of being useful to everyone and precious to no one. Kira knew with a certainty that reached her bones that she would not survive it. Her wolf shifted uneasily inside her mind. What are you thinking? Maybe being cast out would be kinder than staying, Kira answered silently. Maybe becoming rogue would be mercy. You will die beyond the border. I am dying here. At least the wilderness would be faster. Kira stood for a long time, watching snow erase the tracks around her. All she had to do was keep walking, cross into unclaimed land, become packless, let winter finish what Damien's rejection had begun. She stepped forward. Then again. A howl rolled through the distance. It was deep, powerful, and unfamiliar. Kira's wolf lifted her head. What was that? A second howl answered, then a third. Soon the night was filled with voices that belonged to no pack Kira recognized. They came from deep within unclaimed territory, where rogues and feral wolves were said to hunt anything foolish enough to enter. Kira should have turned back. Instead, she walked toward them. Snow thickened. Wind drove icy flakes against her face. Cold sank through her clothes and into her bones. But Kira continued, drawn by an instinct she could not name. Perhaps she followed death. Perhaps she followed the chance to feel something other than rejection. Perhaps she only wanted the pain to stop. The last clear image Kira remembered was the snow beneath her feet changing from white to red. Her blood. Cuts she had not felt opening across her skin stained the path behind her. Her vision narrowed. Her legs folded. As the frozen world tilted and darkness closed over her, the mate bond flared once, bright, desperate, and sharp enough to steal her final breath. Then everything disappeared. Chapter 3. The Rogue with Golden Eyes. Warmth returned before consciousness did. It surrounded Kira like a shelter, impossible and gentle, holding the cold away from her body. She tried to open her eyes, but her eyelids felt too heavy. Her thoughts floated at a distance, slow and muffled. She should have been dead. Kira remembered collapsing in the snow. She remembered blood beneath her feet and darkness taking her. The storm should have frozen her. Rogues should have found whatever the winter left behind. Instead, she was warm. A second sound slowly reached her. Breathing. Deep, even, and steady. It was not her own. Kira forced her eyes open. At first, she saw only darkness and thick black fur. It rose and fell against her cheek with each breath. Her body was tucked against an enormous frame, held close to heat that poured from it like a fire. A wolf. A massive black wolf had curled around her. Kira's own wolf stirred weakly. Where are we? Who is he? Kira tried to pull away, but pain flashed through every muscle. Her head pounded. Her limbs felt too heavy to obey. When she managed to lift one hand, her fingers were still blue from the cold. Feeling returned in vicious needles. The black wolf moved. Kira froze. She had believed him asleep. He had been watching her. His broad head lifted, and molten gold eyes turned toward her. They were not amber like Damien's. They were a pure, unnatural gold, ancient, alert, and wild enough to make her breath catch. Rogue, her wolf warned. There is no pack scent. He has to be rogue. Everything Kira had been taught told her to fear him. Rogues were supposed to be unstable creatures, driven feral by isolation. They attacked without reason. They killed because nothing remained inside them except hunger and rage. This wolf did not look mad. He was perfectly controlled. Intelligence shone in his golden gaze as he studied her. Kira opened her mouth, but only a rough sound escaped. Her throat burned. Her cracked lips tasted of blood. The wolf made a low noise that was neither growl nor whine. Then he carefully untangled his body from hers. Cold rushed into the empty space. Kira began shaking so violently her teeth struck together. Only then did she understand where she was. Rough stone walls surrounded her. The ceiling rose high enough for the enormous wolf to stand. Snow partially sealed the narrow entrance, creating a barrier against the raging wind outside. Someone had arranged pine branches into a bed beneath her. The black wolf walked to the opening. He looked back once. His golden eyes seemed to give a command. Stay. I will return. Then he slipped through the snow and vanished into the storm. Kira lay alone, trying to understand why she was alive. Fragments returned in broken flashes, snow filling her mouth, her knees striking frozen ground, a dark shape moving through the white. She could not remember being carried, yet the bruising along her side suggested powerful jaws had gripped her clothing with careful restraint. The wolf had found her in the wilderness. He had moved her into shelter, protected her through the night, and used his own body to keep her warm. He had arranged branches beneath her so the stone would not steal what little heat remained. None of those actions belonged to the monster Silverpaw stories described. Rogues did not rescue dying she-wolves. They killed, ignored, or fled. Then perhaps he is not a rogue, her wolf whispered. What else could he be? Kira had no answer. She must have lost consciousness again, because the next time she opened her eyes, the black wolf had returned. Snow clung to his fur. A freshly killed rabbit hung from his jaws. He placed it near her. Hunger twisted through Kira so violently she nearly cried out. She had eaten nothing for days, but she lacked the strength to shift, and her human teeth could not tear through raw flesh easily. The wolf watched her struggle. Then he shifted. Most transformations took several controlled seconds. Bones changed, muscles moved, and fur withdrew in a familiar sequence. His happened in a blur. Shadow folded over itself, and a man stood where the wolf had been. Kira forgot to breathe. He was taller than Damien, and built with the raw strength of someone who survived by fighting. Bronze skin stretched over broad shoulders and hard muscle. Scars crossed his body, claw marks over his chest, old bite wounds near one shoulder, and a long pale line running from his collarbone toward his hip. Long black hair fell past his shoulders, loose and wild. Dark stubble sharpened a powerful jaw. High cheekbones and severe features gave him a dangerous beauty. Then Kira met his eyes. They remained the same impossible gold. He was also completely naked. Kira's exhausted mind took several heartbeats to recognize that fact. Heat rushed to her face, and she quickly turned her gaze away. The man released a low, amused sound. "Modesty," he said. His voice was deep, rough, and touched by an accent Kira could not place. Interesting. Most wolves lose concern for it after enough years in a pack. It was the first voice Kira had heard since leaving Silverpaw. Tears unexpectedly burned her eyes. "Who are you?" she asked. The words barely rose above a whisper. He did not answer. Instead, he crouched beside the rabbit. Claws remained at the tips of his fingers, and he used them to skin and divide the meat with quick precision. Soon he held out a strip small enough for her to manage. "Eat first. Ask questions afterward." Kira wanted an explanation, but her body chose hunger. She accepted the meat with trembling fingers and bit into it. The warmth and richness of the first mouthful almost overwhelmed her. She finished one strip, then another, reaching quickly for a third. "Slowly," the stranger warned. "Your stomach has been empty too long. If you eat too much now, you will lose all of it." He was right. Pain had already begun to tighten through her belly. Kira forced herself to chew slowly and wait between bites. When the worst hunger finally eased, she lowered her hands. "Thank you," she said, "for the food, for the cave, for saving me." The stranger tilted his head. "Why were you walking alone through rogue territory during a blizzard?" he asked. His tone held curiosity rather than accusation. "You had no protection and no supplies." Shame warmed Kira's face. The truth sounded weak even inside her mind. "My mate rejected me, so I walked into the wilderness hoping to die." "I became lost," she said. "I was not thinking clearly. I'm sorry if I crossed into territory that belongs to you." His eyes narrowed. He knew she was lying. He did not expose her. "This land does not belong to me," he said. "I am passing through." "Then why did you help?" The question left Kira before she could stop it. "You are rogue, aren't you? You could have left me in the snow. It would have been easier." An emotion crossed his face too quickly for her to understand. "Perhaps," he said, "but I did not." "Why?" He looked toward the cave entrance for a long time. "Because everyone deserves the chance to decide whether they want to live," he said at last. "You were too close to death to make that decision clearly. So I made it for you." His golden eyes returned to her. "If you still wish to die, little wolf, you should at least be awake when you choose it." Kira's throat tightened. He had known. The lie about getting lost had never deceived him. She turned her face away. I don't want to die, she whispered. It was not fully true. It was not fully false either. Good. The man rose in one smooth movement, apparently unconcerned by his nakedness. Then sleep. Heal. The storm may last another day or two. When it passes, you can return to your pack. The thought of Silverpaw tightened Kira's chest. She saw Thorn's gray eyes, heard Damien's rejection, and imagined the whispers that would follow her everywhere. But where else could she go? What will you do? She asked. Where are you going? His expression closed. That is not your concern. You saved my life. That makes it my concern. Amusement flickered in his gaze. Bold words from someone who cannot sit upright without shaking. He was right. Exhaustion pressed heavily against Kira. Still, some instinct warned her that if she slept, he might disappear. Tell me your name, she said. Please. I need to know whom I am thanking. He hesitated. Kieran. Kieran, she repeated. The name sounded old and powerful. I'm Kira. I know. At her confused look, he pointed toward the damaged jacket around her. A small sewn patch carried the Silverpaw symbol and her name. You also speak while sleeping, Kieran added. You called for your mother, and for someone named Damien. His voice changed slightly on the final name. Your mate? Pain drove between Kira's ribs. He was meant to be. Kieran waited. He rejected me 4 days ago, she said. Her voice had gone flat. He looked at me, decided I was not good enough, and walked away. She gestured weakly toward herself and the cave. That is why I was out there. Silence settled between them. Kira waited for pity or hollow reassurance. Kieran offered neither. Then he is a fool, he said, and you are safer without him. The blunt certainty startled a laugh from her. It sounded broken, almost wild, but it was real. I don't feel safer, Kira admitted. I feel as though I am dying. The bond is still inside me. Every moment reminds me that he is somewhere living his life while I... She could not finish. Kieran came closer and crouched until their eyes were level. At that distance, Kira could see every scar crossing his body. Whatever life he had known, it had demanded blood from him. The bond will weaken, he said. Not quickly. Not gently. It will hurt until you believe the pain has no end, but it will fade. His voice lowered. You will survive this, Kira, even when you are certain you cannot. You speak as though you know. Kieran's jaw tightened. I do. Were you rejected too? No. His eyes became distant. My mate died 3 years ago. Kira went still. Hunters killed her. They did not care that wolves think, speak, or feel. To them, we were animals worth chasing for sport. The grief in his voice had never healed. I'm sorry, Kira said. Do not be. Kieran stood abruptly and turned away. It happened a long time ago. I moved forward. He had not. Kira heard it in the rigid control of his voice. He had survived the loss, but survival and healing were not the same. When she died, Kira asked softly, did the bond break at once? Yes. Kieran kept his back to her. It was like a rope snapping. One moment she existed inside me. The next, there was only silence where she had been. Does the silence become easier? He finally looked at her. Pain filled his golden eyes, vast and carefully contained. No, he said. You only learn how to live beside it. It was not the answer Kira wanted. Because it was honest, it comforted her more than a beautiful lie. Rest now, Kieran said, his voice gentler. Your body needs sleep if it is going to recover. I will watch the entrance. You need rest too. I am accustomed to sleeping very little. Rogues who sleep deeply do not remain alive for long. He settled near the cave opening, where he could see both the storm and Kira. Sleep, little wolf. You are safe here. I give you my word. Every lesson Kira had learned warned her not to trust a rogue. She barely knew the male in front of her. He was powerful, scarred, and wrapped in secrets. Still, she believed him. Kira closed her eyes and allowed exhaustion to take her. For the first time since Damien rejected her, no nightmares came. Hours later, Kira woke to find Kieran in wolf form again. His immense black body curved around hers, sharing heat with her weakened frame. Golden eyes watched through the darkness, calm and protective. Kira could not explain why, but beside the rogue she had been taught to fear, she felt safer than she had in years. Chapter 4: Scars That Mirror Mine. The blizzard trapped them inside the cave for 3 days. Outside, wind screamed across the mountain and repeatedly buried the entrance in fresh snow. Inside, time became measured by the fire, the small meals Kieran brought, and the gradual return of strength to Kira's limbs. When the flames weakened, Kieran fed them. When cold woke her, he shifted and placed his body beside hers, without making the kindness feel like a debt. For 3 days, Kira existed within the strange pocket of safety Kieran had created. She rested on pine branches and firs while her strength slowly returned. During brief breaks in the storm, Kieran hunted rabbits and birds. He melted snow for water, kept the fire alive, and checked her wounds with a care that never felt forced. For 3 days, Kira tried not to think about Damien. She failed. The mate bond remained beneath everything. Distance and rejection had weakened it, but not enough to let her forget. In the quiet hours when Kieran left to hunt, Kira pressed a palm to her chest and wondered whether Damien felt the same emptiness. Did he sense the wrongness of being separated from the person fate had selected for him? Probably not. Damien had approached the rejection like a calculation. He had measured pain against ambition, and chosen ambition without hesitation. I am strong enough to endure it. Kira could still hear him. While she recovered in a cave, he was likely continuing with his plans. He might already be meeting females whose rank and beauty matched the future he wanted. Perhaps he was forgetting the quiet healer's daughter who had begged him for one chance. You are thinking about him again. Kira flinched and looked toward the entrance. Kieran stood there in human form with snow across his shoulders and a ptarmigan hanging from one hand. After the first day, he had stopped searching for ways to preserve modesty. He shifted too often for clothing to be practical. Kira had almost grown accustomed to it. Almost. How can you tell? She asked, drawing the fur around her shoulders. Your scent changes. Kieran crouched near the fire and began preparing the bird. It turns bitter. Grief has a scent. Anger does too. At the moment, you smell strongly of both. Kira looked away. I cannot stop it. The bond keeps pulling me back to him. I know. His answer held no judgment. But feeding the thoughts gives them more power. I spent the first year after Mira died doing nothing except remembering. It nearly destroyed what was left of me. It was the first time he had spoken his mate's name. Kira watched his hands pause over the bird. His jaw had tightened. What was she like? Kira asked carefully. Mira? For so long, Kieran said nothing that she thought he would refuse. Then a faint, sorrowful smile touched his face. She was strong, fierce. Her laugh could fill the darkest room with light. He looked into the flames. She was a warrior, better than most of the males in our pack, which angered them endlessly. She challenged me for dominance 3 times before either of us recognized the mate bond. The smile disappeared. She never retreated from anything, not even at the end. When the hunters surrounded her, she fought. She killed 4 before. His voice stopped. Kira did not ask him to finish. I'm sorry, she whispered. She deserved more than that. We all deserve more than life gives us. Kieran returned to his work with controlled, mechanical movements. The universe has never cared about fairness. It simply exists. We survive what it takes from us, or we do not. Which one did you choose? Kieran lifted his eyes. Something dark and uncertain moved within their gold. I am still choosing. The honesty left Kira silent. This male had lived for 3 years after losing his mate. He had survived wounds, hunters, loneliness, and life without a pack. Yet some part of him still stood at the edge between living and merely delaying death. They were more alike than she had first understood. "The meat is ready," Kieran said, breaking the silence. He passed her a portion of the bird, cooked carefully over the fire. "Eat. You are still far too thin." Kira accepted it. During those 3 days, she had recovered enough strength to sit without support and walk through the cave without falling. Kieran had cared for her with discipline. Food came in small portions at regular intervals. He brought water, cleaned her cuts, and prepared herbal mixtures that eased swelling and sped the healing. "Where did you learn to treat wounds?" Kira asked as she ate. "You know more than the basics." "My mother was a healer before." Kieran made a vague movement. "Before everything changed. She insisted that warriors understand enough medicine to survive when no healer was nearby." "Did the hunters kill her too?" "No." His tone flattened. "She died years earlier from illness. There was nothing anyone could do. My father followed 6 months later. The others said his heart broke." Kieran stirred the fire with a stick. Sparks rose toward the stone ceiling. "I once thought dying of grief sounded romantic. Then Mira was killed, and I understood what it truly meant. But you did not die." "No." He watched the sparks fade. "Perhaps I lacked the courage. Perhaps surviving required more courage than surrendering. I still do not know. I kept moving because stopping felt impossible." He rested his forearms across his knees. "I left the pack. I could not tolerate their pity, the whispers, or the way every wolf measured each word around me. I became rogue and have wandered ever since." Kira tried to imagine years without a home. No pack bonds, no familiar den, no place where anyone expected his return. Only movement through land that belonged to others. "Are you lonely?" she asked. Kieran laughed without humor. "Every day." "Then why stay alone?" "Because loneliness is easier than living where every face reminds me of what I lost. Out here, the pain is at least clean." "I do not believe pain is ever clean." "No," Kieran agreed. "Perhaps it is not." They ate quietly while wind howled beyond the blocked entrance. Firelight moved over Kieran's scars. Kira studied him when she thought he was not looking. Sometimes he tilted his head toward sounds beyond the cave, instantly alert, and Kira glimpsed the warrior beneath his calm. At other moments, he placed the better portion of meat near her without comment, or shifted closer to block a draft. His kindness never demanded gratitude, and that made it different from the service Silverpaw expected from her. He was dangerous enough to fight ferals alone, yet gentle enough to break food into pieces for her. His body carried old violence. His eyes carried older sorrow, beautiful and broken. Kira did not know where to place the feelings awakening beside him. "The storm is weakening," Kieran said suddenly. He tilted his head, listening to changes Kira could not hear. "The weather should clear enough for travel by morning." Kira's stomach dropped. "Oh, I will take you to the edge of Silverpaw territory. I want to know you reach home safely." He kept his attention on the fire. "You will need an explanation. Do not tell them you spent the storm with a rogue. Say you became lost, found this cave, and survived until the weather cleared." "Of course." Kira swallowed against an unexpected ache in her throat. She should have felt relief. Elena would be waiting. The cabin would be warm. Her own bed stood only a few hours away. Instead, the thought of leaving Kieran felt like another loss. "What will you do after you take me back?" she asked. "I will continue moving." "Will I see you again?" The question escaped before Kira could decide whether to ask it. Kieran's expression closed. "No, that would not be wise." "Why?" "Because I am rogue, Kira. I have no pack, no protected territory, and no accepted place among civilized wolves. If someone sees you with me, they will ask questions. You already have enough trouble. What if I do not care?" "You should." His voice hardened. "You believe your life is difficult now. Try being treated as a disease by every pack you cross. Try waking each day knowing the next patrol may drive you away, or decide to kill you. Try understanding that you do not belong anywhere and never will again. Golden eyes held hers. There is nothing romantic about this existence. It is hell. Then why do you keep choosing it? Kira challenged. Why not ask another pack to accept you? Why not begin again? Because. Kieran stopped. His jaw flexed. Because the only pack I ever wished to belong to was Mira's. I cannot return. Every trail, den, and familiar voice carries her memory. It is too much. His tone dropped. So I remain rogue. I survive. I avoid thinking about what is gone. Pain roughened every word. I'm sorry, Kira said. I should not have pushed. Kieran shook his head. No, it is not your fault. I am simply not accustomed to speaking about her, or myself. He rose quickly. I will inspect the area. Storms sometimes force ferals toward shelter. Stay inside. Before Kira could answer, his body blurred into the massive black wolf. Then he disappeared through the snow. Kira sat alone beside the fire and fought tears she did not understand. In 3 days, Kieran had become something she could not name. They were not friends in the ordinary sense. They had known each other for less than a week. But he understood grief without asking her to hide it. He knew what it meant to continue breathing after a piece of the soul had died. Tomorrow, Kira would return to Silver Paw. She might never see him again. The thought hurt far more than it should have. Kieran remained gone for hours. Kira tried to sleep, but worry kept dragging her awake. Perhaps ferals had found him. Perhaps he had been injured. Perhaps he had decided to leave her enough food to reach home and disappear without saying goodbye. That final possibility frightened her most. Near dawn, movement sounded at the entrance. Kieran slipped inside in wolf form. Snow covered his dark coat. He shook it away and shifted. Kira's breath caught. Blood ran down his side. He turned his body slightly, trying to keep the wounds out of her view. The injuries were not immediately fatal, but several shallow cuts crossed his ribs, and a deeper gash opened his shoulder. What happened? Kira demanded. Nothing serious, only a small. You are bleeding. She pushed herself upright despite the weakness still in her legs. Come closer. Let me see. I am fine. Kieran. Kira used the same voice Elena used on Stubborn Warriors. I am a healer's daughter. I have trained since I was 12. Let me examine you. Pride warred with common sense across his face. At last, Kieran sighed and moved into the firelight. Kira studied the wounds. Claw marks. Another wolf had caused them. You fought something. 3 ferals. Kieran answered casually. The storm pushed them close, exactly as I expected. They are no longer a danger. You fought 3 ferals alone? Kira stared at him. Have you lost your mind? They could have killed you. They did not. He watched her as she checked the gash on his shoulder. I have survived worse. That does not make this reasonable. Kira forced down her anger. It would not close his wounds. Do you have any herbs left from the mixtures you used on me? In the bundle near the wall. Kira collected it. She recognized nearly every plant. Elena had trained her well. Working quickly, she crushed yarrow, golden seal, and several other herbs into a paste. Her fingers remained steady, even while nervous energy fluttered through her stomach. This will sting. I can tolerate, Kieran hissed when she pressed the poultice against the gash. Gods, woman, what did you put in that? Exactly what will prevent infection, Kira continued gently despite his reaction. You must be more careful. 1 male against 3 ferals is not courage, it is recklessness. I was protecting you. Her hands stopped. You could have frightened them away, she said quietly. You did not have to fight. Yes, I did. Kieran's answer was soft but absolute. If I had only driven them back, they would have returned. They had your scent. I could not allow them to circle around and find you. Why? The question was almost soundless. Why do you care so much? I am only a broken she-wolf you found bleeding in the snow. You owe me nothing. Kieran looked at her for a long time. When I found you, he said at last, I saw myself. Kira waited. After Mira died, I walked into rogue territory without caring whether I returned. Part of me hoped something would finish what her death had begun. His eyes lowered. An old rogue found me. He was half mad from isolation, but enough humanity remained in him to pull me into shelter. He kept me alive when I had no interest in living. What happened when you recovered? He told me something I never forgot. Kieran met her gaze. He said the universe takes from us again and again. But sometimes, when we least expect it, it gives us the chance to pass forward the kindness someone once showed us. He told me not to waste that chance. Kira's throat tightened. So you rescued me because someone once rescued you? Yes. Kieran hesitated. And because I saw you lying there, convinced you had no value and no reason to continue, I remembered what I had been. Someone looked at that wreck of a male and decided he deserved another chance. His voice grew softer. You deserved the same. A tear slipped down Kira's cheek. Thank you, she whispered, for seeing me, for choosing to save me when I could not choose myself. Kieran lifted one hand and cupped her face. His thumb brushed away the tear. The touch was tender enough to stop Kira's breath. You are stronger than you believe, he said. You are still here. You are breathing, healing, and fighting. That requires courage. His golden gaze held hers. Do not let Thorn, your pack, or the blind male who rejected you convince you otherwise. More tears came, but they were no longer born only from grief. Relief moved through them. Gratitude. The release of finally being valued after a lifetime of invisibility. Kieran drew her into his arms. Kira went without hesitation. She pressed her face against his bare chest and cried while he held her. One hand moved slowly over her hair. His body felt solid, warm, and safe. I don't want to go back, she whispered against him. I don't want to pretend I am fine. I don't want Thorn's commands, the whispers, or the bond reminding me every day of what Damien took away. I know. Kieran's voice vibrated through his chest. But Elena is there. Your life is there. You cannot escape pain by running from it. I have spent 3 years proving that. Then what am I supposed to do? Survive one day at a time, one breath at a time. Let the bond weaken. Build a life that does not belong to Damien. Kieran pulled back enough to raise her chin. One day, perhaps not soon, it will hurt less. When you believe you cannot take another step, remember what you have already survived. Rejection, grief, the storm, nearly freezing to death. His expression became fierce. You possess more strength than anyone has allowed you to see. Kira held his words like a lifeline. Will I truly never see you again? Pain crossed his face. It would be safer if... I did not ask what was safer. Kira gathered her courage. I asked whether I will see you. Kieran studied her. Then he nodded. The northern border, he said. The place where I found you. If the pain becomes unbearable, or if you need someone who understands, go there at sunset. His thumb moved over her cheek. I will find you. You will come. I promise. Kira covered his hand with hers. Thank you. For my life, for your patience, for giving me hope. Something vulnerable opened in Kieran's face. For one suspended moment, Kira believed he might say something that would change everything between them. Instead, he stepped away. Rest, he said, his voice controlled again. We leave at first light. You will need strength for the journey. Kira lay down among the pine branches and firs. Kieran shifted and settled near the fire. His golden eyes remained on her in the darkness, protective and sorrowful. As sleep slowly claimed her, Kira recognized a truth that should have frightened her. She did not want to say goodbye in the morning. She did not want to say goodbye in the morning. Chapter 5. Facing the Pack's Judgment. Morning arrived cold and clear. The storm had finally exhausted itself. Pale light entered through the cave opening, and Kira woke to find Kieran already standing there in human form. Against the white wilderness, he looked like a figure from an old legend, wild, powerful, and more at home among mountains than walls. "It is time," he said without turning. "Travel will be easier now. We should leave before the weather changes again. Your pack must be worried." Would they be? Kira doubted anyone except Elena had noticed her absence. To Silverpaw, she was the healer's quiet daughter, useful when required, forgettable when she was not. Most wolves probably believed she had remained hidden in the cabin after Damien's rejection. None of them would imagine that she had spent 4 days fighting for her life beyond the border. Kira sat up. Every muscle protested. "I'm ready." Kieran looked at her. Regret flickered through his golden eyes, or perhaps reluctance. "Are you certain you want to return?" The question caught her off guard. "Where else could I go?" "Anywhere." "Nowhere." He came closer. "You could come with me, live outside the packs." His expression was serious. "It is dangerous and lonely, but there is freedom in it. No alpha commands your choices. No hierarchy decides your value. No one forces you to become what they expect." For one reckless moment, Kira imagined accepting. She could leave Silverpaw, Thorn, Damien's rejection, and every wolf who had looked through her. She could disappear into the wilderness beside the male who had saved her. Then she saw Elena's face. "I can't." "Your mother would survive," Kieran said gently. "She lived before you were born. She would live after you left. It would hurt her, but one day she might understand." "You cannot know that." "No," he admitted, "but I know what happens when you remain somewhere from duty while your soul begs you to leave. It consumes you slowly until nothing remains." "Is that what happened to you?" Kieran did not answer. "What do you want?" he asked instead. "Not what Silverpaw expects, not what you believe you owe others. What do you actually want?" Kira opened her mouth and found no answer. A week earlier, she would have said she wanted Damien. She wanted him to accept the bond, love her, and make the future she had imagined real. Now she wanted the pain to stop. She wanted to be valued without proving her usefulness. She wanted a place where gentleness was not weakness, and ordinary features were not a disgrace. She wanted to feel the way she had felt in the cave. Seen, safe, understood. But she could not place that weight on Kieran after only a few days. "I want my mother to be happy," Kira said at last. "She will not be happy if I vanish, so I am going back, at least for now." Kieran nodded slowly. Disappointment shadowed his face. "At least for now," he repeated. "Remember the northern border. If Silverpaw becomes unbearable, I will find you." "I remember." Kira offered a small smile. "You will not escape me that easily." "I do not want to escape you." The words came softly. Kieran seemed to hear what he had revealed. He cleared his throat and turned away. "We should move, shift. 4 legs will be safer on this terrain." Kira surrendered to the transformation. Her brown wolf emerged stronger than she had expected. She was still weak, but functional. The fur she had always considered dull blended perfectly with the winter forest. Kieran shifted beside her. His wolf form made her stare all over again. He stood nearly twice her size, every line of him built from muscle and midnight black fur. Golden eyes burned within the massive head. He resembled the ancient wolves from stories, the beasts said to hunt gods and swallow moons. He should have terrified her. Instead, his presence steadied her. "Follow me," Kieran said inside her mind. Kira startled so hard she nearly lost her footing. Rogues were not supposed to mind speak. That ability came through pack bonds, the shared connection between wolves who belonged together. "How are you doing this?" "Later," he answered. "For now, place your paws where I place mine. Snow hides more dangers than you can see." They entered the forest. Kieran selected every route with care. He avoided deep drifts, circled frozen streams, and kept them beneath heavy tree cover. Kira followed closely, trusting his experience. The journey lasted for hours. Her legs burned. Cold air scraped her lungs. Still, she continued. Whenever Kira slowed, she remembered the cave and the life Kieran had placed back into her hands. She refused to become another burden he had to carry. At the same time, Kieran never allowed pride to drive him too far ahead. He adjusted to every stumble and chose flatter ground whenever her breathing became too harsh. Kieran maintained a pace that challenged without breaking her. He checked over his shoulder often. "You are doing well," he told her. Approval warmed the mental link. "Most wolves in your condition would not have traveled half this distance. Most wolves did not have a healer as demanding as you," Kira replied. She hesitated. "May I ask something?" "Always. How can we speak this way? I was taught that rogues lose the ability when they leave their packs." Kieran remained silent for several strides. "Most do," he said eventually. "I am different. My wolf has always been stronger than ordinary wolves. The alpha who raised me once believed it meant I would lead a pack someday." A bitter laugh moved through the link. "What makes your wolf different?" "That story belongs to another day," Kieran answered firmly. "Look ahead. We are almost there." Relief and sorrow struck Kira together. Almost home. Almost back to Elena, Thorn, and the empty space where the mate bond should have felt whole. Almost back to a life that no longer seemed to fit her. They stopped within a dense stand of evergreens, just outside Silverpaw territory. Familiar landmarks waited beyond the trees, twin oaks, an ancient stone marker, and narrow paths worn by generations of pack wolves. Home. The word felt wrong now. Kieran shifted to human form. After a moment, Kira followed. They stood naked in the cold morning air. Wolves rarely attached shame to nudity after shifting, yet the moment felt more intimate than anything inside the cave. "This is where we separate," Kieran said. His voice sounded rough. "Silverpaw land begins beyond those trees. Follow the eastern path. It leads toward the main settlement." He held her gaze. "Tell them the storm trapped you. Say you found a cave and rationed whatever food you carried. And if they doubt me, repeat the same account, never change it. Consistency makes a lie difficult to break." His expression sharpened. "Do not mention me, Kira. Not to anyone, even someone you trust completely. Especially someone you trust. Secrets travel, and you cannot afford the attention my name would bring." Kira nodded. Before fear could stop her, she stepped forward and embraced him. Kieran's body stiffened in surprise, then his arms closed around her. He was warm, solid, and real. Kira pressed her face against his chest and memorized his scent: pine, snow, and something untamed. "Thank you," she whispered. "You saved me in more ways than I can explain." His embrace tightened. "You saved me too." Kira pulled back enough to see his face. "How?" "For 3 years, I wandered without truly living," Kieran said. "I continued because I lacked the will to die, but I had no reason to want another day." His voice caught. "Then I found you. You reminded me what it feels like to matter, even if only to one stranger who needed shelter from a storm." "You matter, Kieran." Kira's answer came fiercely. "You are brave. You are kind. You are—" "Do not," he interrupted, though his tone remained gentle. "Do not turn me into more than I am. I am a rogue who happened to find someone in need. You are more than that. To you, perhaps. For now." Kieran lifted one hand and held her cheek. The tenderness of the gesture hurt. "You will return to your life. I will return to mine. One day this will be a strange memory. The time you nearly died and a mysterious wolf pulled you from the snow. That is not all this was." Kieran shook his head. "It must be. Anything more would be complicated, dangerous, wrong." "Why wrong?" "Because I am rogue. Because your rejected bond is still tearing through you. Because we barely know one another." He motioned between them. "This connection is not real. We are two damaged people using shared pain to feel less alone." The words should have wounded Kira like Damien's rejection. They did not. She saw the conflict in Kieran's face. She heard the lie trembling beneath his certainty. You are afraid, she said. I am practical. You are afraid to care again. His jaw tightened. You fear I will leave you the way Mira did. Mira did not leave. She was taken. The result was still loss, Kira said softly. She is gone, and you remain. For 3 years, you have made sure no one could become important enough to hurt you that way again. Kira covered the hand resting against her cheek. I am not asking you to love me. I am not demanding promises. I only want honesty. Do not call this nothing when we both know it mattered. Kieran stared at her for a long time. Then he bent and rested his forehead against hers. Kira closed her eyes. You frighten me, he whispered, because you are right. These days mattered. You matter, and I have no idea what to do with that. You do not have to do anything. Kira's voice softened. Only do not disappear. Do not promise to meet me at the border and then decide I am better without you. I have watched enough people walk away. I will not. Kieran pulled back. Fierce certainty filled his eyes. If you come to that border, I will find you, even if it takes days, even if reaching you is dangerous. Good. Kira managed an uneven smile. I suspect I will need a friend during the weeks ahead. A friend, Kieran repeated, testing the word. Then he nodded. Yes, I can be your friend. It was not everything moving between them. For now, it was enough. I should go, Kira said. Mama will be terrified. I know. Go. Kieran stepped back. Remember the story. And be careful with Thorn. From what you told me, he is not a male I would trust with your life. I will be careful. Kira shifted and looked at him one final time. Kieran stood alone among the trees, already resembling a shadow cut away from the world. Then Kira turned and ran into Silver Paw territory. Elena had been searching near the Twin Oaks. Kira caught her mother's scent almost immediately, sharp with exhaustion and terror. Elena stood in human form beside the trail, her face pale and drawn. Kira! The cry carried relief and anguish together. Kira shifted and stumbled into her arms. I'm all right, Mama. I'm here. All right? Elena gripped her. You were missing for 4 days. 4 days. After what happened with your mate, I thought you had... Her voice broke. I got lost, Kira interrupted, hating the lie. The storm rose too quickly. I could not find the path home. I sheltered in a cave and survived on the little food I had. She met Elena's eyes. I'm sorry. I never meant to frighten you. Elena held Kira's face in trembling hands, examining her like a healer. You are thinner, pale, but there are no serious wounds. How did you survive that storm for 4 days? The cave was deep and protected. Kira chose each word carefully. I was fortunate. Not entirely a lie. We need to get you home, Elena said. Warmth, food, clean clothes. Can you walk, or should I call someone? I can walk, slowly. Kira did not want more witnesses. Elena wrapped an arm around her waist and helped her toward the cabin. As they walked, she explained that she had searched for 2 days before the storm made it impossible. She had begged Thorn to send warriors. He refused to risk a search party in the blizzard. Elena had planned to go out again that morning, whatever the danger. Kira listened while hiding the truth that clawed at her tongue. She wanted to tell Elena about the Black Wolf, the cave, and the golden-eyed male who had restored her hope. Kieran's warning stopped her. Secrets travel. At home, Elena covered Kira with clean clothes and blankets. She brought broth, tea, and herbs, then questioned her carefully. Kira answered with half-truths, using details from the real cave, while erasing the male who had kept her alive. Thorn will summon you, Elena said eventually. Worry deepened the lines around her eyes. He was furious that you vanished. He said a Silver Paw wolf disappearing during alliance negotiations made the pack appear undisciplined. Of course he had made her suffering about politics. I will face him tomorrow, Kira said. Tonight, I need sleep. Elena kissed her forehead. Of course, I am only grateful you came back. when I believed I might lose you." She did not finish. Kira embraced her. "I'm here, I promise." That night, Kira lay clean and warm in her own bed and stared at the ceiling. The mate bond still ached. Damien's rejection had not disappeared, yet something beside the pain had changed. A second feeling now occupied the space within her, warm, golden, and protective. Hope. Kira placed a hand over her heart and remembered golden eyes in a dark cave, a black wolf surrounding her with his body, a grieving male choosing to save her when he had barely learned to save himself. The northern border, he had promised. "If you need me, I will find you." Kira believed him. That belief gave her enough strength to face whatever came next. Thorn's questions, Silverpaw's judgment, and the long work of building a life without the male fate had chosen. She was not completely alone anymore. Somewhere beyond the border, a rogue with golden eyes remembered her too, and that changed everything. Chapter 6. Caught Between Two Deaths. Alpha Thorn summoned Kira again before sunrise. She had barely slept. Her own bed felt unfamiliar after the cave, and every time she closed her eyes, her thoughts returned to Kieran. Where had he gone after leaving her at the border? Was he already far away? Did he remember her with the same restless intensity that kept her awake? A hard knock broke through her thoughts. The young messenger from Thorn's den stood outside. His face revealed nothing. "The Alpha requires you, now." Elena's hand closed around Kira's shoulder. "She is still recovering." "Now," the male repeated. "Those are his orders." Kira squeezed her mother's fingers. "It will be fine, Mama. The sooner I face him, the sooner it ends." She did not believe her own reassurance. Dread grew with every step through the morning mist. This summons carried a different weight, less irritation, more danger. Thorn was not alone. The moment Kira crossed the threshold, the sense in the room warned her that this was not another private reprimand. Dominance layered over dominance until her wolf crouched instinctively inside her. The windows had been shuttered despite the early light, and the closed room felt less like an office than a place prepared for judgment. 3 males waited inside the den with him. Marcus Steele, Silverpaw's chief warrior, stood near the wall. Garrett Cross, Thorn's beta, watched from beside the desk. The third male was a stranger dressed in expensive clothing, his posture carrying unmistakable rank. Even Thorn treated him with caution. "Ah, Kira," Thorn smiled without warmth. "I was explaining your unfortunate adventure to our guest." Kira's stomach tightened. "This is Alpha Cain Blackwood of Iron Ridge," Thorn continued. "You may remember his delegation, Damien's father, the male whose alliance mattered more to Thorn than Kira's life." "I do not believe we were formally introduced," Kira said. Her voice remained steady, despite the panic building inside her. Cain Blackwood studied her with amber eyes, so similar to Damien's that looking at him hurt. "No, we were not. I understand you disappeared during the Alliance gathering and became trapped beyond your border. Concerning, particularly with the recent increase in rogue activity." Warning moved beneath the words. "I made a foolish mistake," Kira said. "I wandered farther than intended and could not return before the storm. I found a cave and remained there until the weather cleared. I was fortunate. Very fortunate." Cain's gaze seemed to cut through her explanation. "A lone she-wolf survived 4 days in hostile territory during the worst blizzard in years and returned with no serious injury. How did you manage that?" The trap began closing. "The cave was concealed," Kira answered. "My mother trained me in herbs. I used what I found to hide my scent." "Impressive," Cain said, though his tone suggested disbelief. "And during those 4 days, you saw no other wolves? No ferals? No rogues? None that came close enough to threaten me? How convenient." Silence pressed through the room. Marcus rested one hand near the knife at his belt. Garrett watched openly now. Thorn's face remained unreadable. Cain stepped closer. "I will speak plainly. I do not believe you." Kira held herself still. We have received reports about a dangerous rogue moving through this region, a very large black wolf. He has attacked several patrols near our territory. Kieran. Her pulse slammed against her ribs. Tracks belonging to that wolf were found near the area where you claim to have sheltered. Kane continued. A dying female survives a storm. A wanted rogue appears nearby. The explanation is obvious. I did not see a dangerous black wolf, Kira replied. It was true in the only way that mattered. Kieran had never been dangerous to her. Do not lie to an alpha. Kane's dominance struck without warning. Kira flinched. Pressure rolled over her wolf, forcing instinctive submission. You were with him, Kane said. Admit it. I was not. Kira, Thorne said softly. The false gentleness was more threatening than anger. Alpha Blackwood traveled here to investigate a serious matter. This rogue is wanted for theft, assault, and possibly greater crimes. If you helped him, even without understanding who he was, you may be held responsible. He leaned forward. Cooperate, and we may show mercy. Threats disguised as kindness. Kira knew Thorne's method too well. I have told you what happened, she said. I was alone. I saw no one. Kane's face hardened. Marcus. Show her. The warrior removed a torn strip of cloth from inside his jacket. Blood stained it. Kira recognized the fabric immediately. It had come from the jacket she wore when she collapsed. We found this outside the cave, Marcus said. We also found 2 trails, one human, one wolf. Your scent, and another scent none of us recognized. Cold horror moved through Kira. They had followed her path. They had found the cave. They possessed proof that someone had been with her. Continuing to deny everything would only make them more suspicious. Kira searched desperately for a version of the truth that could protect Kieran. There was someone, she admitted. Satisfaction flashed across Kane's face. But I do not know who he was. I was half frozen and barely conscious. He brought me to shelter and kept me alive. By the time I was fully awake, he had gone. I never learned his name. I hardly saw his human form. You spent 4 days beside a stranger and learned nothing? Garrett scoffed. Do you take us for fools? I was dying, Kira snapped. I drifted in and out of awareness. Whoever found me gave me food and warmth. That is all I can tell you. He was rogue, Kane said. Kira's hesitation betrayed her. She remembered Kieran warning her to keep every answer simple. Do not volunteer details. Do not defend me so fiercely that they understand what I mean to you. But Kira had never been trained to lie under an alpha's dominance. Her wolf wanted to submit, while every human instinct demanded that she protect the male whose blood might already be on Kane's hands if she failed. I believed he might be. Kane smiled like a predator. Then this is what you will do. You will describe him. His size, coloring, scars, voice, and every detail you remember. You will take us to the cave. His eyes narrowed. Then you will help us find him. I can't. You can, and you will. Kane released another wave of dominance. The force drove Kira to her knees. Her hands caught the floor. Her wolf whimpered beneath the pressure. That rogue is a threat, Kane said. He has attacked pack wolves and compromised our borders. If you protect him, you share responsibility for his crimes. Do you want to be named a traitor? Every word was chosen to frighten and corner her. But Kieran had carried her from the snow. He had fed her, healed her, and held her through the worst pain of her life. Kira would not trade his life for her safety. He was not dangerous to me, she said from her knees. She raised her head and met Kane's eyes. He could have abandoned me. Instead, he showed mercy. I will not help you hunt the male who saved my life. The room seemed to turn colder. You are refusing an alpha's direct command, Kane said. I am saying I do not possess the information you want. Kira swallowed. And even if I did, I would not use it to betray someone who gave me compassion when my own pack offered none. Compassion? Garrett laughed. Rogues do not have compassion. They are broken, feral animals. He was not feral, Kira answered. Her voice grew stronger. He was gentle, kind, more human than any wolf I have met inside pack territory. The moment the words left her, Kira understood her mistake. She had defended his character too precisely. She had revealed an intimacy impossible for a barely conscious stranger. Thorn's expression became calculating. You care for him. I am grateful. Is that all? His eyes moved over her. You remained alone with him for 4 days. Perhaps gratitude was not the only bond formed in that cave. Heat rose into Kira's cheeks. Nothing happened. I do not care what happened between you, Cain interrupted. I care that you know more than you admit. If you refuse to speak freely, there are other ways to encourage honesty. You cannot. Marcus's hand closed around her shoulder. We can, Thorn said. You belong to Silver Paw and answer to pack law. A wolf who assists a rogue may face prison, exile, or execution, depending on the crime. I did not assist him, he assisted me. A meaningless distinction. Cain loomed over her. You have 2 options. Help us locate the rogue, or be charged as his collaborator. His voice became colder. Your mother has served this pack for many years. It would be unfortunate if her daughter's disloyalty destroyed the position she worked so hard to earn. There it was, the true weapon. They were not only threatening Kira, they would use Elena to break her. You cannot punish my mother for my decisions. I can do whatever protects my pack, Thorn said. I am alpha here. His gray eyes hardened. Choose, Kira. Lead us to the rogue, or watch your mother pay for your loyalty to him. Every path ended in betrayal. Protect Kieran, and Elena suffered. Protect Elena, and Kieran died. Kira could find no clever answer, no hidden door out of the trap. I need time, she said. Please, let me think. You have until sunset tomorrow, Cain replied. After that, charges will be brought against you. You will not enjoy what follows. He moved toward the door, then stopped. And do not attempt to run. Wolves will be watching you. If you somehow warn your rogue friend, a cruel smile spread across his face. We will kill your mother slowly while you watch. Do you understand? Kira understand. Kira understood completely. She was trapped between the male who had saved her and the mother who had given her everything. Whichever life she protected, another person she loved would be destroyed. Remove her, Thorn ordered. Make certain she knows this is not a request. It is a command. Marcus pulled Kira to her feet and escorted her outside. She crossed the settlement on numb legs, while her mind searched wildly for a solution that did not exist. By the time the cabin came into view, one truth had become clear. Kira had less than 2 days to save everyone she loved. If she failed, she would watch them burn. Chapter 7. The Midnight Escape. Elena knew the moment Kira entered the cabin. What did Thorn say? She asked, setting aside the herbs she had been crushing. Kira, what happened? Kira could not answer. Panic had closed around her throat. She stood in the doorway, trembling while Cain's promise repeated inside her mind. We will kill your mother. Slowly. While you watch. Elena crossed the room and held Kira's face. Look at me. Whatever he threatened, we will face it together. You can't help me. The words broke apart as Kira spoke. No one can help. She pulled free and moved to the window. Beyond the glass lay the forest. Somewhere in it, perhaps only a few miles away, Kieran lived without knowing he had been marked for death. Tell me anyway, Elena said. I cannot help with a secret I do not understand. Kira's control collapsed. Everything poured out. She told Elena how she had crossed the border ready to die, how Kieran had found her, and how the black wolf had carried her into shelter. She described his patience, his grief, the food he hunted, and the warmth he shared. She confessed the promise at the northern border. Then she explained Cain's arrival, the evidence from the cave, and the choice placed before her. Lead the hunters to Kieran, or watch them destroy Elena. Her mother listened without interruption. Shock moved into anger, and anger slowly settled into grim understanding. The rogue who found you, Elena said when Kira finished. You care about him. I barely know him. That was not my question. Elena's expression was gentle but knowing. You care for him. Kira closed her eyes. Yes. I don't understand how it happened so quickly. He knew my pain without making me ashamed of it. He saw me, Mama. Not the healer's plain daughter. Not Damien's rejected mate. He saw me. Her voice softened. And he decided I was worth saving. Now they expect you to repay him by leading them to his death. Yes. The word felt poisonous. Elena began sorting dried lavender with absent fingers. When your father rejected me, I wanted my life to end, she said. The pain left no room for anything else. My mother told me that a person's worth is not measured by how others love them. It is measured by the love they choose to give, even after they have been hurt. She looked directly at Kira. You could surrender this Kieran to protect yourself. To protect me, it would be the safest decision. But you would never forgive yourself. Elena's voice hardened, and neither would I. I did not raise you to purchase your safety with the blood of someone who showed you kindness, not even if my life is the price. Tears stung Kira's eyes. I cannot allow them to kill you. And I cannot allow you to become someone who betrays the innocent. Elena took both of Kira's hands. There must be another path. We only need to find it. There is no path. They are watching me. If I run, they will know. If I go near the border, they will follow. If I do nothing, they charge me and hurt you. Then we do not run openly, and we do not remain helpless. Elena's face took on the focused expression she wore when treating a wound no one else knew how to close. We fight with what we have. What do we have? Kira asked. No allies, no rank, no warriors. Knowledge. Elena squeezed her fingers. They believe Kieran is a violent criminal. You know otherwise. You also know how to reach him. That gives us one advantage. An advantage for what? For warning him before Kane's hunters find him. Elena paced across the cabin. If Kieran leaves the region, they cannot capture him. They may continue to threaten you, but without the rogue, and without proof of any crime, their case becomes weaker. Kira stared at her mother. You want me to go to the northern border? I want you to save the male who saved you. They said I would be watched. During the day, when they expect you to make an obvious attempt, Elena's eyes sharpened. At night, they will still watch the cabin, but I know how to make them see what we want. Kira waited. I can prepare a draught that mimics illness, Elena explained. It will raise your temperature, flush your skin, and weaken your limbs without causing lasting harm. Anyone who checks will believe you are too sick to leave your bed. And while they believe I am sleeping, you leave through the rear window. Elena's smile held no humor. You reach the border, tell Kieran to disappear, and return before dawn. The plan was dangerous enough to get both of them killed. It was also the only plan they had. What happens to you if they discover I am gone? I have served Silverpaw for 30 years. I am its healer. They will not execute me without evidence. Elena spoke confidently, but fear lived beneath the words. If they question me, I will say you slipped out while I slept. They may suspect more. Suspicion is not proof. Mama. This is our chance, Kira. Elena pulled her into a fierce embrace. Kieran gave you another life. We will not repay that by handing him to hunters. We will give him what he gave you, the opportunity to survive. Kira buried her face against the familiar scent of herbs. I'm afraid. Good. Fear can make you careful. Elena drew back and cupped her cheeks. But do not allow it to freeze you. You survived rejection. You survived that storm. You will survive this. Promise? Sadness touched Elena's smile. I promise to use everything I have to help you. It was the only promise she could truthfully make. They prepared through the afternoon. Neither woman spoke about the possibility of failure for long, yet it remained in every careful movement. Elena showed Kira how to crush the scent-masking leaves between her palms without releasing all their oil at once. She marked the less-used trails on a rough piece of cloth, and made Kira repeat the route until she could describe every turn with closed eyes. Whenever footsteps passed the cabin, both of them fell silent. Thorne's watchers might already be close enough to hear a careless word. Elena mixed a measured potion that would create fever without damaging Kira's body. She packed herbs that could mask a wolf's scent and explained exactly how much to use. She chose dark clothing that would disappear among the trees. Kira memorized the safest path to the northern border. "What do I tell him?" she asked as sunset neared. "The truth," Elena answered. "Tell him Cain knows about the cave. Tell him hunters are coming. Tell him to leave this land before they close every route." She pressed a small pouch into Kira's hand. "These herbs will hide you from trackers. Do not waste them. What if he is not there? He promised to come when you needed him." Elena's certainty steadied her. "He does not sound like a male who breaks his word." No. Kieran would come. Kira had to believe it. At twilight she drank the potion. Heat spread through her within minutes. Her face flushed, her limbs became heavy, and the room tilted around her. Elena guided her to bed and deliberately raised her voice so anyone outside could hear. "Rest, little one. The fever may break before morning. I will remain beside you." Once the door was closed and no immediate movement sounded outside, Elena bent near Kira's ear. "Wait 3 hours after darkness is complete, then go." Kira nodded. Those 3 hours seemed longer than the 4 days she had spent missing. She lay beneath the blankets and pretended to sleep, while Silverpaw settled for the night. Elena moved normally through the cabin, grinding herbs, feeding the fire, and humming old songs. Each sound created the picture of an ordinary evening with a sick daughter. Every footstep outside sent Kira's pulse racing. Were Thorne's watchers near the door? Had Cain already changed his mind and sent hunters to seize her? Kira prayed to the same moon goddess who had tied her to a male who rejected her. "Please let this work. Not for me. Do not let them die because of me." At last, Elena tapped the bedpost 3 times. Kira rose. Most of the potion's weakness had faded. Her cheeks remained warm enough to support the illusion. She dressed silently, took the pouch of herbs, and opened the rear window. Elena embraced her. "Be careful, and listen to me." Her whisper became urgent. "If the plan fails and you must choose between returning here and staying alive, remain safe. Do not throw your life away for mine. I have lived. Yours has barely begun." "Mama?" "Promise." Kira could never make that promise honestly. She could not imagine saving herself while Elena paid the price. Still, she nodded because her mother needed to see it. Then Kira climbed through the window and entered the dark forest. Every shadow looked like a watcher. She rubbed Elena's herbs over her skin and clothing. Their scent mixed with earth, pine, and damp bark until even Kira struggled to smell herself. She paused twice when patrols crossed nearby. The first pair spoke quietly about Cain's arrival and the danger of rogues. The second carried Silverpaw weapons and moved toward the northern paths. Kira flattened herself beneath a fallen tree until their scent vanished, terrified that the pounding of her heart might be loud enough to expose her. Only when the forest became silent did she move again. She avoided the main trails, forcing her way through dense undergrowth and choosing rocky ground that would not preserve a clear print. Branches caught at her clothing. Frozen roots tried to turn her ankles. The journey took nearly an hour. When Kira reached the place where she had once fallen into the snow, her heart beat painfully fast. What if Kieran had gone? What if hunters had found him first? What if she had endangered Elena for nothing? Moonlight covered the clearing. Kira stood alone, uncertain whether to call, howl, or wait. A black shape appeared from the darkness without sound. Kira gasped. Kieran's wolf form towered before her, golden eyes burning like twin flames. "Kira?" His mental voice carried immediate concern. "Why are you here? What happened?" She shifted quickly. Everything happened. You have to leave tonight. Kieran transformed. A moment later, they stood naked beneath the moon, both breathing hard. Tell me. They know about you, about the cave, about me. Words rushed from Kira. Alpha Cain Blackwood came to Silver Paw. They tracked my blood and found 2 sets of prints. They say you attacked patrols and committed crimes. They want me to lead them to you. Kieran's face became still. So they intend to kill me. Yes. Kira seized his arms. They gave me until tomorrow at sunset. If I refuse, they will charge me and hurt Mama. If I cooperate, they use me to find you. Her grip tightened. They have trackers, trained hunters, and weapons meant for rogues. You cannot fight all of them. Please leave this region. Go tonight. Go somewhere they will never reach. Kieran searched her face. You risked your mother and your own life to warn me. Do not thank me. Do not tell me this was foolish. Promise me you will go. He lifted one hand to her cheek. If I vanish, they will still punish you. I will survive. Like I survive? Kieran asked. Wandering alone? Breathing without living? Is that the future you are choosing for yourself? I am choosing your life. The confession escaped before Kira could stop it. I need you alive. I need you safe. I do not care what happens to me as long as you are. All right? Kieran finished. His voice roughened. You brave, impossible woman. Then he kissed her. There was nothing careful about it. The kiss was desperate, hungry, and filled with every emotion they had refused to name. Kieran's hands threaded through her hair. He drew her against him, and Kira answered with equal urgency, clinging to him as if the world would tear them apart the moment she let go. When they separated, both of them were gasping. Tears covered Kira's face. I cannot lose you, she whispered against his mouth. I only just found you. Then come with me. Kira went still. What? Leave Silver Paw. Leave Thorn's threats and Cain's hunters. Come with me tonight. Kieran rested his forehead against hers. If you remain, they will punish you whether I disappear or not. With me, at least you will not face it alone. My mother would want you alive. She would want you free. What kind of life would we have? 2 rogues fleeing every pack? A life together. Kieran's voice held fierce certainty. A life where Damien's rejection does not surround you. A life where I am not alone with Mira's memory. We can build something that belongs to us. They will hunt us. Let them. A dangerous smile touched Kieran's mouth. I have escaped hunters for 3 years. I know how to disappear. 2 wolves can confuse a trail better than 1. Kieran, say yes. He kissed her again, this time slowly. Choose yourself once, Kira. Not Thorn, not Silver Paw, not what everyone expects. The night, his touch, and the simple power of being wanted broke through Kira's final resistance. She nodded. Yes, she breathed. I will go with you. Chapter 8. The Price of Freedom. We leave now, Kieran said, before they discover you are missing. The meaning of Kira's decision crashed over her all at once. She was leaving her mother, her home, and the only life she had ever known. She was stepping outside pack law by choice. She was becoming rogue, hunted, free. I have to say goodbye to Mama. Kieran caught her arms. You cannot return. She will believe I am dead. She will think she failed me. If you go back, Thorn's watchers may see you. They will question why you left your bed, follow you, and close the border before we escape. His grip softened. Once the danger passes, we can find a way to send her word. But going back tonight would destroy your only chance. Logic told Kira he was right. Her heart answered with Elena waking to an empty bed. I hate this. I know. Kieran pulled her against him. Sometimes life offers no good choice, only one that causes less damage than the others. What if Thorn punished Elena for her escape? What if Kira traded her mother's life for freedom? Kieran raised her chin. You are spiraling again, he said. Stop. We will solve one danger at a time. Right now, every moment we remain here gives them a chance to catch us. Kira drew a slow breath. Where do we go? North, deep into the unclaimed lands, beyond the routes most patrols use. There are old dens, hidden valleys, and caves that pack wolves have forgotten. We keep moving for several weeks, leave no pattern, and make the trail impossible to follow. And after that? A crooked smile appeared on Kieran's face. After that, we build a life worth surviving for. Together? Together. The promise should have sounded reckless. In Kieran's voice, it sounded possible. All right, Kira said. Let's go. They shifted beneath the moon. Kira's brown wolf looked slight beside Kieran's black form, but his golden gaze made her feel anything except weak. Stay close, he ordered through the link. If I tell you to run, you run. No hesitation, no questions. Understood. Good. Approval flowed through the connection, warm and steady. I will not let anything happen to you. They ran away from Silver Paw. For the first mile, Kira could still sense the sleeping pack behind her. Familiar scents clung to the wind. Smoke from the central fires, the herbs drying outside Elena's cabin, the old cedar near the healer's path. Every scent pulled at memory. Every stride carried her farther from the mother she had not been able to embrace goodbye. Kira nearly turned back twice. Each time, Kieran glanced over his shoulder. He did not order her forward or shame her hesitation. His golden eyes simply reminded her what waited if she returned. Thorn's command, Kane's hunters, and a choice designed to destroy everyone she loved. Kieran set a brutal pace. Kira had never moved so fast or for so long, yet fear and adrenaline unlocked strength she did not know she possessed. Moonlight flashed across frozen ground while every familiar scent faded behind them. Terrifying freedom flooded her. They stopped only long enough to drink from icy streams or catch breath. Kieran avoided clearings, chose stone that would not hold prints, crossed water to break their scent, and doubled back more than once. You have done this often, Kira observed as they descended into a narrow ravine. Many times, Kieran replied. Rogues must be ready to leave everything within a heartbeat. Those who learn slowly die quickly. You make this life sound inviting. I told you the truth from the beginning. It is not romantic. It is hunger, danger, and never sleeping without listening for pursuit. If you regret coming, I do not. Kira surprised herself with the certainty of it. She missed Elena so deeply it hurt. She feared what would happen when Thorn learned she was gone. But for the first time since the bond formed, Kira had chosen the direction of her own life. I am with you, she said, wherever this road leads. Warmth moved through their mental link, relief, gratitude, and something deeper than either of them named. By dawn, Silver Paw lay many miles behind them. The land had changed. Dense pine forest gave way to rocky slopes, steep valleys, and exposed ridges. The terrain was dangerous, but it offered cover from trackers. Kieran finally slowed near a waterfall and led Kira through the curtain of water. A cave waited behind it. The constant roar masked scent and sound. They shifted inside. The shelter was dry and larger than Kira expected. An old fire ring and scattered animal bones showed that someone had once used it. You know this place, she said. I stayed here about a year ago. Kieran searched every shadow before relaxing. It is hidden, defensible, and close to water and game. We rest for a few days while I decide where to take us next. Kira sank against the wall. Exhaustion finally claimed her muscles. Her feet were raw where her paws had split during the run. Blood marked the stone beneath her. Kieran knelt immediately. You push too far. These wounds need attention. I'm fine. You are bleeding. The tone ended the argument. Stay here. I will find what we need. He shifted and disappeared through the waterfall. Kira sat alone in the muted morning light. During the past 12 hours, she had abandoned Silver Paw, deceived its alpha, left Elena without farewell, and fled with a male she had known for only days. She expected regret. None came. Damien's bond still existed. The ache remained inside her chest, but it seemed far away now, overshadowed by something new. What she felt for Kieran was not fate. It could not be. Wolves received one destined mate, and Damien had been hers. Yet this growing connection felt real in a way the bond never had. The moon goddess had chosen Damien. Kira had chosen Kieran. Kieran returned carrying yarrow, comfrey, and moss. He shifted and began crushing the plants. You truly learned well from your mother, Kira said. I had to. Pack healers do not welcome rogues into their dens. He spread the mixture over her torn feet. This will burn. It did. Kira clenched her teeth and remained still. Thank you, she said, for helping me leave. For all of it. Do not thank me yet. Kieran's expression turned grave. We are not safe. We may not be safe for a long time. Cain Blackwood will not accept losing control of this hunt. He will send trackers. I know. But I am not alone. Kieran's hands stopped. He looked up. Why did you truly come? He asked. Was this only escape from punishment? Or was there another reason? Kira's heart began beating harder. Truth could draw them together. It could also make Kieran retreat. You make me feel visible, she said. Silverpaw spent my entire life looking past me. Damien looked directly at me and saw a burden. Her voice trembled, but she continued. You saw someone worth protecting. With you, I do not feel plain, weak, or unwanted. I feel safe. I did not want to lose that. She swallowed. I did not want to lose you. Silence stretched between them. Kieran finished wrapping her feet, then sat back and studied her face. I am falling for you, he said. The words sounded rough, as though he had forgotten how to speak them. I know it is too soon. Your bond is still breaking. I still carry Mira. We are running for our lives. None of this should allow room for another feeling. His golden eyes became vulnerable. But when I am beside you, I feel less broken, less alone, and that terrifies me. Why? Because everyone I loved was taken. His voice cracked. My parents. Mira. My pack. What happens if the universe decides to take you too? What if loving you only creates another way to destroy me? Kira reached for him and held his scarred face between both hands. Then we use whatever time we are given, she said. 1 day, or 50 years, we make it matter. That simple? That simple. Kieran closed his eyes and leaned into her palms. You are too brave for your own safety. You survived alone for 3 years. That was stubbornness, not courage. A small smile appeared when he opened his eyes. Perhaps together, we can make stubbornness useful. What would it become? Hope. He pressed his forehead to hers. A future worth fighting for. Kieran suddenly went rigid. His head snapped toward the waterfall. Kira felt alarm explode through the mental link. What is it? Wolves. He rose instantly. Several. Moving fast. Fear flooded Kira. How did they find us already? It does not matter. Kieran gathered their few supplies. We leave now. I can barely stand. Then I carry you. He shifted, and the huge black wolf filled the cave. Climb onto my back. Hurry. Riding another wolf violated every rule Kira knew, but survival mattered more than dignity. She shifted and climbed carefully across his broad back, gripping his fur with claws and teeth. Hold tightly. Kieran burst through the waterfall. Howls erupted behind them. Through the spray, Kira saw 5 wolves in pursuit. All were larger than she was. Their movement was disciplined, synchronized, and fast. Trackers, Kieran said. They followed us from the border. I should have been more careful. This is not your fault. I allowed emotion to weaken my judgment. He accelerated. They crossed hostile terrain, steep ledges, narrow paths, and frozen inclines, where one wrong step would send them into ravines. Kieran used every skill learned through years of escape. He ran through streams, doubled back, and crossed rock to break their trail. The hunters kept finding them. Each time the howls faded, they returned closer. They are driving us, Kira realized. They want us to move toward something. I know. There is a canyon ahead with only one passage. If hunters block the other side, we will be trapped. Then we choose another route. There is no route that does not cost hours. Kiran's sides heaved beneath her. We may have to fight through them. You cannot fight 5 wolves while carrying me. Then prepare to run alone. His command sharpened. I will hold them back. No. Kira's refusal rang through the link. Kira, we remain together. I did not leave everything to watch you die for me. You cannot fight trained hunters in your condition. Then I die beside you. Kira dug her claws into his fur to make the point. You promised we would solve this together. No noble sacrifice, no abandonment. We survive together or we do not survive. Kiran made a sound between a growl and a laugh. Stubborn woman. You said stubbornness could become hope. I may have spoken too soon. They reached the canyon. The walls rose like a stone trap, too steep for an easy leap, and too narrow for Kiran to use his size freely. Snow had collected in the shaded corners, covering loose rock and making every step uncertain. Kira felt his mind race through possibilities and discard them one after another. 2 powerful wolves already blocked the narrow exit. The original 5 closed behind them. 7 hunters. 2 fugitives. One of them injured and exhausted. Kiran lowered himself enough for Kira to slide down. She stood beside him on trembling paws. The hunters formed a wide circle. A scarred gray wolf shifted into human form. Kiran, he called. You are wanted for questioning in connection with attacks on pack patrols. Surrender, and the female will not be harmed. Liar, Kiran snarled through the link. They will kill me and drag you home in chains. The gray male shrugged. You have 2 choices. Surrender or die here. You are not leaving this canyon. Kira searched the walls. Stone rose sharply on both sides. The exit remained blocked. No path seemed possible. Then she noticed cracks and narrow ledges along the eastern wall. Kiran, look above us. Could we climb? His golden eyes tracked upward. Perhaps. It is dangerous. With your injuries. Is it more dangerous than fighting 7 trained wolves? A pause. No. Tell me what to do. On my signal, run to the eastern wall. Climb. Do not stop. Do not look back. What will you do? Create confusion. Kiran's tone allowed no argument. Trust me. Before Kira could demand more, Kiran attacked. He did not lunge toward the wolves blocking the exit. He threw himself at the gray male who had spoken. The move was so sudden that the hunters reacted in disorder. Several rushed toward Kiran at once, opening the path to the wall. Now! Kiran roared. Run! Kira ran. Her damaged paws screamed with every step. She reached the stone and climbed, forcing claws into narrow cracks. Muscles shook under her weight. Behind her came snarls, impact, and cries of pain. Kiran fought like a storm of black fur and golden rage. He faced 7 hunters through speed, strength, and fury. But he could not win forever. Blood darkened his coat. He staggered beneath multiple attacks. Keep climbing, he commanded when Kira looked down. Do not stop for me. Kira climbed higher. Halfway to the rim, Kiran cried out. The sound cut through her heart. Kiran, I am fine, keep going. He was not fine. The mental link carried his pain, exhaustion, and weakening strength. He was losing. Kira looked toward the rim, only 15 feet above. Then she looked down at the black wolf bleeding beneath 7 enemies. Elena's words returned. A person's worth is measured by how they choose to love after pain. Kira stopped climbing and made her choice. Chapter 9. Standing on the Edge. Kira stopped halfway up the wall. What are you doing? Kiran's mental voice struck her with panic and fury. I told you to keep climbing. I will not leave you. Kira, listen to me. No. For the first time, Kira opened herself completely to the strange connection between them. She stopped controlling what crossed the link and released everything she had hidden. Her fear for him, her refusal to watch another male walk away, her certainty that living after abandoning him would be worse than dying beside him. The emotion struck Kieran with physical force. She felt him stagger below. Shock rushed through the link, followed by wonder and something powerful enough to frighten them both. Love. You impossible, stubborn. His mental voice broke. Fine, if we do this, we do it intelligently. What do you mean? Keep climbing, reach the top and obey exactly what I tell you. Kira did not understand his plan, but she trusted him. She climbed again, dragging herself upward while battle raged beneath her. Her paws slipped twice. Each time, she forced her claws deeper into the rock. At last, Kira pulled herself over the canyon rim. She lay gasping for only a heartbeat before looking down. Kieran stood at the center of the hunters. Blood covered his black coat. Wounds opened along his side and shoulder, yet he continued fighting with savage precision. Beyond him was the canyon's narrow exit. Listen, Kieran said. His voice was strained but focused. Look toward the eastern ledge. Do you see the loose stones? Kira followed his direction. A cluster of large rocks rested precariously above the passage. I see them. The flat stone at the bottom holds the others in place. Move it, and the entire section should fall. The rock slide will block the passage and separate the hunters. Kira stared at the huge stones. How can I move one of those? You only need to shift the base. Use your human form and push from the side. Kieran drove one hunter back. Once the stones fall, run north. Do not wait. Do not look for me. We meet at the old oak grove 3 miles from here. You remember it? Kira remembered the ancient trees they had passed during the night. Yes. Promise you will run. His desperation reached through the link. If you remain, both of us die. We must divide their attention. Every instinct demanded that Kira refuse. But his plan was their only chance. I promise, she said. But you will keep your promise too. You will reach that grove. I will be there. Kieran's voice softened. I did not survive alone for 3 years to die after finally finding a reason to live. Strength returned to Kira. She shifted to human form and ran toward the unstable rocks. Up close they appeared even larger. The base stone reached nearly to her waist and sat buried beneath the weight of everything above it. For 1 second, doubt froze her. Then Kieran cried out below. Kira planted both feet against the ground and pushed. Nothing moved. Her shoulders burned. Her arms shook. She adjusted her position and drove forward with every remaining piece of strength. The rock shifted slightly. Kira gasped and pushed again. It moved another inch. Momentum slowly took control. The flat stone slid free. The rocks above it tilted. Then the ledge collapsed. Stone thundered down the canyon wall. The roar sounded like the mountain breaking apart. Dust exploded upward while boulders crashed directly into the narrow passage. When the air cleared, the exit had disappeared beneath rock. The hunters were split. 3 remained on Kieran's side of the canyon. 4 had been trapped beyond the collapse. Perfect, Kieran said, triumph cutting through his pain. Now run. Kira shifted and obeyed. She raced north while furious howls rose behind her. Her paws struck the ground so quickly she barely felt them. She ran until her lungs burned and her vision blurred. Then she continued. The ancient oak grove finally appeared ahead. Its trees were enormous, their bare branches reaching into the gray sky. Kira collapsed at the base of the largest trunk. She remained in wolf form, too exhausted to shift. Minutes passed, then an hour, then 2. Kieran did not come. Kira listened so fiercely that ordinary forest sounds became threats. Snow falling from a branch made her rise. A bird moving through dead leaves sent hope crashing through her before disappointment followed. She reached for the mental link again and again, afraid to push too hard in case Kieran needed all his strength to remain conscious. The cold returned slowly, but she refused to move from the oak. He had trusted her to reach this place. She would trust him to follow. Kieran? She reached through the mental link. Silence answered. It was not the terrible emptiness of death. Kira believed she would feel the connection snap if he died. This silence felt blocked, as though pain or distance prevented him from answering. Fear tightened around her throat. What if the hunters captured him? What if he was bleeding somewhere and could not move? You promised to wait, Kira reminded herself. You promised. She curled beneath the oak and trembled, fighting every instinct that ordered her back toward the canyon. Just as despair began to overcome reason, she heard footsteps, heavy, uneven, accompanied by labored breathing. Kira lifted her head. A man appeared between the trees. Kieran. He limped through the snow in human form, covered in blood and dirt. One arm hung close to his side. His face had gone pale, but his golden eyes remained fixed on Kira. Alive. He was alive. Kira shifted and ran to him. His legs failed just as she reached him. They collapsed together, Kira taking as much of his weight as she could. Warm blood spread across her bare skin. You are late, she said. Her voice shook violently. Kieran released a weak laugh. The path was crowded. This is not funny. You are right, my timing needs work. Kira fought tears. You're hurt. I am breathing. He lifted a trembling hand and held her cheek. And you are alive. That is enough. No, it is not enough. Let me see. Kira helped him sit against an oak. His wounds were worse than she feared. Deep gashes crossed his ribs. Teeth had torn into one shoulder. Smaller cuts and swelling covered his arms and chest. He had lost dangerous amounts of blood. I need herbs and water. There is no time, Kieran murmured. His eyes were beginning to close. The hunters will find another route around the collapse. We have several hours at most. You cannot stand. Then you help me. Urgency returned to his gaze. We cannot stop while they are this close. Kira hated that he was right. Fine, but we move slowly, and we stop at the first protected place. I will treat every wound before you lose more blood. Her tone hardened. You are useless to both of us if you die. Yes, healer. A weak smile appeared. Help me up. Together, they brought Kieran to his feet. He shifted with visible pain. Kira changed beside him, and they moved north at a reduced pace. She remained close enough to support him whenever his legs faltered. Thank you, Kieran said through the link. For what? For bringing down the rocks, for refusing to leave, for possessing too much stubbornness to obey a reasonable command. You are welcome, and thank you for staying alive. I intend to practice that regularly. They traveled through most of the day, resting whenever Kieran could go no farther. By late afternoon, the canyon lay at a safer distance, though both knew Kane's hunters would continue searching. As the sun lowered, they found a narrow cave hidden within a hillside. It was small and rough, but concealed and defensible. Kieran barely crossed the entrance before collapsing. He shifted back to human form. His breathing came shallow and fast. His skin looked far too pale. The wounds had stopped bleeding heavily, but infection would kill him if Kira failed to clean them. Stay awake, she ordered. I am finding medicine. Do not close your eyes before I return. I would never disobey you. His eyes were already drifting shut. Kira found enough plants nearby to work with. Yarrow, comfrey, wintergreen, and clean moss. It was not the collection Elena would have chosen, but it could keep Kieran alive. When she returned, he had lost consciousness. Fear struck her until she saw his chest rise. Alive, only exhausted. Kira cleaned every wound. She pressed herbs into deep cuts, wrapped his ribs, and treated the bite on his shoulder. Her hands moved with Elena's training even while her heart struggled to remain calm. As she worked, Kira studied Kieran's face. Strong jaw, scarred skin, dark hair tangled with blood. The male who had found her when she wanted to die had become the one person she could not imagine losing. Somewhere between the snow, the cave, and the canyon, Kira had fallen completely in love with him. There was no mate bond to compel it, no prophecy, no command from the moon goddess, only choice. A frightening, beautiful choice to love a male who chose her in return. "You are staring," Kieran murmured. Kira jumped. "I thought you were unconscious." "I was resting." His golden eyes opened. "There is a difference. Besides, your emotions travel through the link. They are not quiet." Heat rushed into Kira's cheeks. "I didn't realize." "Do not apologize." Kieran found her hand and squeezed it. "I like knowing what you feel. It makes the world less empty. You are not alone now. Neither are you." He drew her down beside him and wrapped one arm around her, careful of his wounds. "We have each other. For now, that is enough." Kira settled against him. "What happens tomorrow?" "We heal enough to move, then we continue north until the packs decide the chase costs more than catching us." Sleep softened his voice. "After that, we find a place that belongs to no alpha. We build something new." "Just like that?" "Just like that. Simple does not mean easy." His arm tightened. "Nothing worth keeping is easy." Kira listened to his heartbeat. Its rhythm steadied the fear still moving through her. Every beat reminded her that he had returned from the canyon, that she had not imagined the promise between them, and that for once neither of them had been abandoned at the moment of greatest danger. Behind them waited rejection, betrayal, and violence. Ahead lay hunger, uncertainty, and pursuit. For one night, they were safe. "Kieran? I love you." The words entered the darkness between them. Kira's heart hammered while she waited. Perhaps she had spoken too soon. Perhaps love would frighten him back into distance. "I love you too," Kieran said. His voice was quiet and unsteady. I believed those words died with Mira. "Then you made me want more than survival again." Tears filled Kira's eyes. "We are going to be all right, aren't we?" "Yes." Kieran's certainty wrapped around her. "We are no longer alone. Together, we are stronger than anything they send after us." Kira chose to believe him. The hunters still searched. Cain still wanted them. Damien's fading bond still whispered from inside her chest. But for that night, Kira chose hope. She fell asleep in Kieran's arms and dreamed of two wounded wolves learning how to become whole together. Chapter 10: Freedom's Price. 3 weeks passed. 3 weeks of running, hiding, and surviving. They learned to erase a campsite before sunrise, to sleep in turns when the wind carried uncertain scents, and to divide food without speaking about which of them needed it more. Kira learned the difference between ordinary forest silence and the silence that meant predators were near. Kieran learned that she would refuse every extra portion he tried to place in her hands unless he ate beside her. Some nights, they whispered about the cabin they might build when the chase ended. Other nights, exhaustion left them with no words at all. They simply held each other and listened for hunters. 3 weeks of moving from one fragile refuge to another. Kira and Kieran moved from cave to abandoned den, from hollow trees to narrow shelters beneath stone. They never remained anywhere long enough to feel settled. When a place began to smell familiar, Kieran insisted they leave. Familiarity encouraged carelessness, and carelessness killed rogues. Kira came to understand that freedom had its own discipline. No alpha commanded her, but hunger did, weather did, the need to protect Kieran did. She had escaped Silverpaw's hierarchy, only to enter a world where every decision carried immediate consequences. Every night required a new escape plan. Every morning began with checking the wind for unfamiliar scent. Kieran's wounds healed slowly. Kira changed more quickly. The healer's daughter, who had once lowered her eyes whenever a dominant wolf passed, learned to read tracks. choose defensible ground, and wake from sleep at the smallest change in Kieran's breathing. She learned to hunt without apology, and to accept that survival sometimes required taking life. Kieran never mocked her mistakes. He corrected them, then made her repeat each skill until fear no longer controlled her hands. She learned what rogue life truly demanded. The physical hardship was severe. Hunger followed them almost constantly. Some days, hunting produced nothing. Cold entered their bones each night, no matter how closely they slept beside the fire. Continuous movement drained them both until exhaustion felt permanent. But the loneliness was worse. There was no pack connection humming quietly beneath Kira's skin, no familiar wolves speaking through shared bonds. No greeting voices, no protected territory, no place that recognized her scent and called it home. Only Kieran. He was the one point of belonging in a world that rejected them both. Kira finally understood why so many rogues lost themselves. Isolation did not arrive as a single wound. It gnawed slowly, day after day, until sanity weakened at the edges. "You are thinking loudly again," Kieran said. He sat near the wall of the newest cave, sharpening a rough spear made from hardened wood and stone. They had reached the northern mountains and found a connected system of caverns far from known pack routes. The land was bitterly cold, but for the first time in weeks, the shelter felt almost private. "Sorry." Kira looked down at the rabbit hide she was cleaning. "I was thinking about Mama." The worry returned every evening. Elena would know Kira had escaped. Did she understand why? Had Thorn punished her? Was she still alive and serving Silver Paw? Or had Kira's choice destroyed her mother's life? "She is valuable," Kieran said, as he always did. "Thorn would be a fool to remove the best healer in his pack because of something you did. You have never met Thorn. He would destroy something useful if it allowed him to prove he had not been disobeyed. Then we will find a way to reach her." Kieran set the spear aside and drew Kira into his arms. "Once the hunt weakens, we send a message. We let Elena know you are alive. I promise." Kira leaned against him. Their connection had deepened through every difficult day. The desperate attraction born in the cave had become something steadier. She loved Kieran without the frenzy of a mate bond. No supernatural force pushed her toward him. She woke each day and chose him. That made the feeling seem more precious, not less. "I do not regret leaving," Kira said. "Not even when I am hungry. Not even when the cold feels unbearable. I do not regret choosing you." Kieran's arms tightened. "Good. Because I would follow you into hell if you asked. Let us avoid that. We already have enough trouble staying warm." "Agreed." He kissed the top of her head. "Though hell may have better weather than these mountains." Kira laughed. "We could add more wood to the—" Alarm exploded through their mental link. Kieran went rigid. His gaze snapped toward the entrance. "They found us." He rose before the words had fully left his mouth. "Multiple wolves. Fast." Kira began collecting their supplies automatically. "How? We broke every trail. We crossed water and stone. It does not matter now." Kieran's fear and fury pressed through the connection. "We leave." They shifted and raced from the cave as the first hunter appeared behind them. There were more this time. At least 10. Their howls rang through the mountain valleys without any attempt at concealment. "They want us afraid," Kira said as she ran. "They want panic to make us careless." "Then we do not panic," Kieran answered. "Northern Pass. We use the terrain, exactly as we planned." During the previous weeks they had prepared for discovery. They identified escape routes, narrow crossings, and places where a smaller force could survive against greater numbers. Preparation did not make the hunters behind them less real. The pursuit continued for hours. Sometimes the hunters vanished from sight, only for their howls to rise from another valley and prove they had predicted Kieran's route. Once, an arrow struck the stone beside Kira and shattered. Another grazed Kieran's flank without slowing him. The hunting party did not need to kill them immediately. It only needed to keep them moving until exhaustion became a weapon. They crossed frozen streams, climbed slopes steep enough to kill an exhausted wolf, and ran along mountain paths barely wide enough for 4 paws. The hunting party moved with relentless coordination. 3 weeks of little food and constant stress had weakened Kira. Her hind leg slipped on ice. She caught herself before falling over the edge, but Kieran immediately felt the jolt of fear. "I am fine," she lied. "Keep moving." "No." Kieran slowed enough to place his larger body between Kira and the wolves behind them. "We separate. I draw them west. You continue toward—" "No." Kira's refusal was absolute. "We have already decided this. We remain together. You are exhausted. If we stay side by side, they capture both of us. Then both of us are captured." Kira pushed harder. "Together or not at all. I meant it in the canyon. I mean it now." Before Kieran could argue, they burst through a line of trees and stopped. A narrow ridge stretched ahead. One side dropped into a sheer cliff. The other pressed against a steep mountain wall. Alpha Cain Blackwood stood directly in their path in human form. 6 wolves waited around him. Behind Kira and Kieran, the pursuing hunters emerged from the forest and sealed the retreat. There was nowhere left to run. Kira shifted. Kieran changed beside her. They stood shoulder to shoulder on the ridge, naked in the cutting wind. Neither lowered their head. "This ends now," Cain called. His voice carried easily over the mountain. "For 3 weeks, you have humiliated my hunters and dragged this pursuit across half the region. Enough. This land belongs to no pack," Kieran replied. "You have no authority here. I have greater numbers and justified anger." Cain's amber eyes were cold. "You attacked my son. You corrupted a silver paw female. 3 hunters died during your escape." "I killed no one." Kieran's voice struck with power. "I defended myself and Kira. Your wolves continued attacking after I gave them chances to withdraw. If any died, their deaths belonged to the command that sent them." Lies. Yet uncertainty briefly crossed Cain's face. "Are they?" Kieran asked. He motioned toward Kira. "Look at her. Does she appear controlled? Does she stand beside me like a prisoner? Or does she look like someone who made a desperate choice because returning home meant punishment for a crime she never committed?" Cain's attention settled fully on Kira for the first time. Despite hunger and exhaustion, she stood straight and met his eyes. "My son rejected you," Cain said. "It was not a question. That is why you left Silverpaw. That began all of this." Kira's throat tightened. "Yes." She forced herself not to look away. "Damien was my mate. He recognized the bond, judged me unsuitable, and rejected me. Thorn ordered me to pretend it never happened. He threatened exile. Later, he and you threatened my mother to force me to betray Kieran." Kira's voice grew stronger. "Kieran found me dying because of your son's rejection. He gave me shelter when my pack gave me threats. I chose to leave rather than remain where my life could be traded for an alliance. That is the truth." Silence settled over the ridge. The wind moved through the hunters and carried their unease with it. Wolves who had chased Kira for weeks now looked at her for the first time as a person rather than a target. Several shifted their weight. One lowered his eyes. Another glanced toward Cain, as if waiting for an explanation that could make the hunt honorable again. Several hunters exchanged uncertain looks. Even Cain appeared surprised by Kira's directness. Damien rejected his fated mate? A female wolf with gray markings shifted into human form. Disbelief sharpened her face. "Alpha, you told us we were tracking a violent rogue who had attacked innocent patrols. You never said the female was a rejected mate." "That detail is irrelevant," Cain snapped. "Rejected bonds are not irrelevant." The hunter's expression hardened. "The moon goddess's choice is sacred. The moon goddess made an error." Cain's composure broke. "My son is destined for greatness. I will not allow an unsuitable female to ruin his future." The truth finally stood exposed. This hunt had never been about border safety or justice. Cain wanted to protect the Blackwood name. Damien's rejection threatened their reputation, and Kira had become evidence that needed to disappear. "So you chased her like a criminal?" the gray-marked female asked. "You intended to force her into a life she refused?" She stepped away from Cain. "That is not justice. It is tyranny." "It is pack law," Cain snarled. "I question your honor if you question my authority." "I am a hunter," the female replied. Her voice rang clearly. "I am not a weapon for persecuting rejected mates. If Iron Ridge calls this honor, I want no place in it." Two other wolves shifted and moved beside her. Cain's united hunting party began to fracture. 4 wolves remained loyal near the alpha, ready to attack if ordered. Others watched in discomfort, no longer certain that the hunt was righteous. "This changes nothing," Cain said. But his certainty had weakened. "The rogue is still accused of attacking pack wolves." "In self-defense," Kieran answered. "For 3 years I avoided every pack. I ran whenever patrols drove me off. I fought only when they tried to kill me." His hands curled into fists. "I wanted to be left alone." "Then you should not have interfered with her fate." Cain gestured at Kira with contempt. "You should have allowed nature to finish its work." "Allowed her to die?" Kieran's golden eyes blazed. "Say it clearly. You believe she should have frozen in the snow because your son decided she lacked beauty, rank, and political value. My son made a practical choice. Your son made a cruel choice." Kieran stepped slightly in front of Kira. "You could have taught him that mate bonds are sacred regardless of status. Instead, you helped bury his shame. You threatened the female he should have protected, and hunted her across the wilderness to erase what your family did." The accusation hung in the cold air. Even Cain's remaining supporters avoided his eyes. "Enough." Cain's voice became flat and dangerous. "You receive one final opportunity. Surrender and face judgment, or die on this ridge." Kieran reached back and found Kira's hand. Their fingers locked. His love, regret, and refusal to submit flowed through the link. "If we fight," he told her silently, "we will probably die. There are too many. I know. If we surrender, they kill me and return you to Thorn. You lose your freedom. I know that too." "What do we choose?" Kieran asked, but he already knew. "We fight," Kira answered. "Together. Together." Kieran faced Cain. "We choose freedom," he declared, "even if freedom costs everything." Cain raised one hand to order the attack. "Stop!" The shout came from behind his line. Every head turned. A familiar male pushed through the hunters. Kira's heart jolted. Damien. Her rejected mate looked unlike the proud warrior from the Frost Moon gathering. He had grown thinner. Dark circles shadowed his amber eyes. Exhaustion and guilt had carved themselves into his face. Still, he walked with determination. "Damien?" Cain stared at his son. "Why are you here? You were ordered to remain at Iron Ridge." "I followed you." Damien's voice sounded hoarse. For a moment, Kira saw the male he might have become if courage had guided him at the Frost Moon gathering. He did not carry a warrior's arrogance now. He carried the weight of every consequence that had followed his rejection. "I learned what you planned, the hunters. The lies about Kira. I could not allow you to murder her in my name." He stepped toward them. The mate bond flared. Even after the rejection, it remained, a fading thread that pulled painfully between Damien and Kira. "Kira," he said. His eyes found hers. "I am sorry." The words Kira had once dreamed of hearing finally came. "I am sorry I rejected you. I was a coward. I allowed pride and ambition to matter more than the gift the moon goddess placed before me. I saw your rank instead of your soul." Kira's chest tightened. Weeks earlier, this apology might have broken her open. Now Kieran's hand remained in hers, solid and chosen. "Why are you here?" Kira asked. "Because I felt you through the bond." Damien clenched his fists. "I felt your fear. I knew you believed you were about to die. I rejected you, but I could not live knowing my father killed you because of what I did. How touching, Cain said. But this is not your concern. Return home. No. Damien turned toward his father. He stood straighter than Kira had ever seen him. This ends here. Kira committed no crime. She has the right to choose a life that does not include me. His voice carried across the ridge. If you continue hunting her, I will oppose you publicly. I will tell every pack what happened. I will tell them I rejected my mate, that you helped hide it, and that you persecuted an innocent female to protect our reputation. The threat struck harder than any weapon. Rejecting a mate brought shame. Covering it with political lies and attempted murder could destroy an alpha's credibility across the region. Cain's face turned white with rage. You would betray your blood? I would choose honor over appearance. Damien did not waver. You should have taught me to do that from the beginning. Father and son stared at one another. Years of power, expectation, and obedience collapsed into one moment. Cain was the first to look away. Fine, he said. Let them go. Relief moved through several hunters. But this is not finished, Damien. When we return, we will discuss loyalty to family. I look forward to hearing your definition of loyalty. Cain turned sharply. We are leaving. The hunt is over. Most wolves obeyed at once. A few hesitated, caught between the alpha and the truth they had heard. Now, Cain commanded. The final hunters followed. Within minutes they disappeared into the trees. Cain left with them, his authority damaged before his own wolves. Damien remained. He approached slowly with empty hands visible. Kieran tensed. A low warning rose in his chest. Easy, Kira murmured. Let him speak. Damien stopped several steps away. The distance between them felt important. Once, the bond had demanded that Kira erase every inch separating their bodies. Now she felt no urge to move closer. Damien seemed to recognize that change. His gaze lowered briefly, accepting a loss he had created himself. I know I have no right to ask anything from you, he said. I threw away the greatest gift I was given, because I cared more about status than character. Yes, Kira replied. You did. Pain crossed his face. I will not ask you to forgive me. I do not deserve it. His gaze moved to Kira, and Kieran's joined hands. And I can see you found something real. Something I was too blind to value. Then why help? Kieran asked. His voice remained hard. Why follow the hunt if you knew she would not return to you? Because Kira deserved better than the way I treated her. Damien's remorse was raw. And because perhaps one day, after the memory hurts less, she might believe I truly wanted her happiness, even when it no longer included me. The bond moved weakly between them. For the first time, Kira felt Damien's sincerity without longing for it. His apology did not undo the rejection. It did not erase the nights she had begged for death, but it allowed her to release something. I accept your apology, Kira said, not because it repairs what happened. It does not. I accept it because carrying anger would continue giving you power over my life. She held his eyes. You made your choice. I made mine. We both live with them now. I understand. Damien smiled sadly. For what it is worth, Kieran is fortunate. Kieran gave a short nod when Damien spoke his name. Protect her, Damien continued. She is stronger and braver than anyone in our world bothered to see, including me. I know exactly who she is, Kieran replied. His voice softened. I will protect her with my life. Damien reached into his jacket and removed a heavy pouch. Take this. Herbs, coin, and supplies from Iron Ridge stores. It cannot repay what I caused, but it may help you survive. Kira accepted the pouch. Coin pressed against small bottles and folded packets of dried medicine. The weight was practical, but it also carried the first real acknowledgement Damien had offered, that his decision had consequences beyond his own discomfort. Thank you. The words did not absolve him. They only recognized that, at last, he had done something that helped instead of harmed her. One more thing. Damien's expression became serious. Elena is safe. Kira stopped breathing. Thorn tried to punish her after you escaped. My father prevented it because harming a respected healer would damage Iron Ridge's reputation. Your mother is frightened for you, but she is alive and still serving Silver Paw. Relief weakened Kira's knees. You are certain? I would not lie to you about this. Damien removed a folded page from inside his jacket. She wrote to you. I carried it out without Thorn's knowledge. Elena's familiar handwriting showed through the paper. Kira accepted the letter with shaking fingers. Thank you, she whispered. Damien stepped away. I should follow before father decides to return. He met Kira's eyes for the last time. Be happy. Happier than you could ever have been beside me. Then Damien shifted and disappeared after the hunting party. The ridge became silent. Kira held Elena's letter against her chest. Are you all right? Kieran asked. I don't know. She looked at him. I imagined meeting Damien again so many times. I thought I would feel rage, pain, or hope that he had changed. Kira pressed one hand over the place where the bond lived, but he felt like a stranger. The bond is almost gone. Yes. The constant hollow ache had become distant background pain. When he apologized, I realized I am grateful he rejected me. Kieran's brows drew together. If he had accepted me, I would never have met you. Kieran pulled her into his arms. I love you, he said fiercely, not because fate commanded it. I love you because you are brave, stubborn, gentle, and impossible. Because you chose me when safety demanded you abandon me. Because you make me want to become better than the male I was yesterday. I love you too. Kira raised her face. So what happens now? Kane ended the hunt. We have supplies. Mama is safe. What do two free rogues do with an open world? A slow smile spread across Kieran's face. Anything we choose. He looked toward the mountains. We can continue north and find land no pack patrols. We can go east to the coast. We can travel south until winter loosens its grip. His golden eyes returned to her. No alpha decides for us now. No pack law defines our future. That sounds terrifying. It is. And exciting. That too. Kira laughed. The sound carried freely across the ridge. Then we find somewhere to call home, she said. We build something new. Together. Kieran rested his forehead against hers. Always together. They remained on the mountain as sunset turned the sky gold and amber. Behind them lay rejection, betrayal, and loss. Ahead lay uncertainty, and the difficult work of creating a life with nothing except courage and choice. They had each other. That was enough. That night, inside a small cave far from the ridge, Kira opened Elena's letter. Tears blurred the familiar writing. My dearest Kira, if this letter reaches you, Damien found you and you are alive. Thank the moon goddess. I have spent every day wondering whether you survived, whether you are safe, and whether you regret leaving. Do not regret choosing yourself. I have watched wolves remain in places that slowly break them. They fade until only a shadow remains. You chose freedom. You chose love. You chose the chance to live fully. I am proud of the courage that required. I am safe. Alpha Kane intervened when Thorn attempted to punish me. Even powerful males understand that persecuting a healer can turn an entire pack against them. I miss you more than words can carry, but I understand why you could not return. Wherever you are, and whoever stands beside you, I pray you have found the happiness you deserve. Live, little one. Live bravely, completely, and without apology. That is all a mother asks for her child. All my love, always. Mama. Kira read every line 3 times. Then she folded the paper carefully and placed it inside their supplies. It was a small piece of the life she had left, and proof that love could survive distance without becoming a chain. Everything all right? Kieran asked from beside the fire. Yes. Kira moved into his warmth. Everything is exactly where it should be. For the first time since Damien rejected her, Kira meant those words. She was free. She was loved. She had found home, not inside a Pax border, but inside the male who chose her as freely as she chose him. Epilogue. 6 months later, Kira stood at the edge of a meadow while sunset spread across a hidden valley. She and Kieran had discovered the place 3 months earlier, deep inside unclaimed land, and far from established pack routes. Mountains protected it on 3 sides. A river crossed the lower fields. Game moved through nearby forests, and the soil accepted the herbs and vegetables Kira planted. They built a small cabin together. Kieran cut and fitted the heavier logs while Kira sealed the gaps with clay and moss.